It's for the Rose Bowl, the Pac-10 championship. Washington against USC, and this is one of the days that Southern California brags about. Just superb, 73 degrees at kickoff time. Now the field conditions, as you can see, we have a surface of grass. And about 2 weeks ago, it was miserable, but it's improved considerably.
Well, we thought the field conditions, the sand, they put a lot of sand on the field, was going to be issues. But we walked the field ourselves. We talked to kickers. We don't think it's going to be. It should be pointed out, though, that this is only the second time that Washington has played on grass this year. The other time, of course, being up at Stanford.
USC won the toss. They deferred. As an end result, they'll be kicking off to the Washington Huskies. Steve Jordan will kick off for the Trojans. Danny Green and Lonzel Hill will go back for the Washington Huskies. Last year, Washington won 24-0 in Seattle. This will be Lonzel Hill, and he'll down it, and at the 20-yard line, Washington will have the football. The Washington offense, let's look at the starters. Paul Cicero, his second start. He had 3 touchdown passes a week ago. Walt Hunt starting in place of Rick Finney, who has a shoulder problem. Jock Robinson coming on strong, 2 straight 100-yard days. Danny Green, the big play performer for the Huskies. And Mark Patterson, he makes the tough catch. And Tony Roten, after being hurt early in the year, has come back strong at tight end.
Cicero had that big day last week where he threw those 3 touchdowns and put 44 points on the scoreboard against Cal.
From the 20, Danny Green goes in motion for the Huskies, and they're going to throw on their first opportunity from the line of scrimmage. Jock Robinson makes the catch, and he'll pick up 4 yards to the 24. Tommy Haynes, number 9, over to make the tackle.
Typical, Gary. We talk about defense, and the first thing Washington does is come out and throw the ball on first down. But this has been a characteristic of this Washington team over the past 4 games. Their first 10 plays, the first 17 plays of the past 4 games, 10 of those have been passes. And here they open up with a pass. Again, USC is expecting a run situation. They come out and try to loosen them up early in the football game with an intelligent, safe throw.
Roten goes in motion. Second down and 6. Jock Robinson across the 25 to the 26-yard line. He'll still be 4 yards short of the first down. 3rd and 4 as Brent Moore and Tony Colorado make the tackle. Offensively for Washington, they've had some injury problems. Maher is playing on a bad knee, and Robertson's had all kinds of problems with Achilles tendon. Ernest sees their best lineman, their fastest lineman, an all-conference candidate. Burnham has started since the 3rd week of the season, and Gogan weighs 290 pounds. He's 6'7". 3rd down and 4. Cicero with time, but he overthrows his intended receiver, David Trimble, number 23. Tim McDonald, the strong safety, defending for the Trojans.
Again, isn't it always the case when you get at the top of your show and you start talking about defense, the first thing the offense does is come out and throw the ball in 2 of his first 3 possessions.
Well, Don James has a reputation of never beating himself, waiting for the other guy to make that first mistake.
And interesting, the 2 throws that they made were 2 safe throws. One, a very short throw to a back. The other one was thrown, if he did not hit the receiver, he threw it way over his head, so it could not be an interception.
Kane Cleveland to punt. He had a brilliant day last week. No big rush, and he hit a beauty. Beautiful punt. Darrell Hopper at the 21-yard line for USC. Hopper will bring it out to the 32. USC will have it after a 53-yard punt by Cleveland, an 11-yard return, and Mark Larson was the man who made the tackle. Up front, Tim Green, who's won all 5 games he started for USC. Pola, he's a force up the middle. Excellent blocker. Crutcher, he's a 5-yard man. He won't break the big one for you. And Randy Turner, a freshman, they think he's going to be a great player. Hank Norman's caught at least 1 pass in 19 straight games. Boyer, an excellent blocker at tight end.
Ted Tolner's decision to defer at the beginning of the game has paid off here because he's got pretty good field position right now on his first possession.
From the 32, Green gives off to Crutcher. Crutcher picked up and dropped by Ron Holmes. Crutcher is the workhorse of this team. Last week he carried the ball a career-high 41 times, and he runs behind maybe the biggest line in college football. Fitzpatrick, 6'8", 270 pounds, vastly improved. Bring on. He's got that defensive mentality. Tom Cox starting at center. Alec is the emotional leader, the holler guy up front. And Rutgers, he's got the job to go against Ron Holmes. 2nd down and 9. Crutcher out to the 35. Fred Small, and what a story Fred Small has been this year. Number 5, made the stop for the Washington Huskies. Let's look at that Washington defense. It's superb in every phase. They can run well, and Reggie Rogers at 6'7", a basketball player. Ron Holmes, he might be the best in the country at this spot. Albert coming on, playing with confidence. And Tony Lewis, he's the unsung guy. Very, very quick. And Fred Small leads the Pac-10 in tackles for loss.
You know, other than the front three in that defense, the rest of that defense runs 4, 6 or better, Gary. They are very quick. That's why they get a lot of people around the ball, get a lot of turnovers.
On a 3rd and 6, here comes Crutcher. And Crutcher is going to be way short of the first down. That was Ron Holmes, the man we mentioned, number 90 over there. And so they'll have to punt the football, and this can be a very shaky moment for USC.
Ted Tollner is concerned about his punter, Troy Richardson. He has a tendency, or he can shank the ball off his right foot. Washington is very good at putting pressure on the quarterback. This might be a nice opportunity to rush Troy Richardson and either block a punt or make him think about that pressure the rest of the day.
This is the leading punt returner in the Pac-10, Ron Milas, standing back. They debated whether to have Richardson kick or a freshman by the name of Green, so Richardson gets the first opportunity. He did not hit it that well. There's a flag on the play. Milas lets it bounce, and the punt will go out of bounds at the 25-yard line. But a penalty flag back at the 35, 38-yard punt. But we'll have to sort this one out.
Captain.
Illegal procedure is going to be the call against USC.
Well, he did not punt the ball well. I'd be surprised if they accepted the penalty.
He did get somewhat of a roll. He got a 38-yard punt out of it when, in fact, it was not hit that well.
So Jim Walden up at Washington State calls him the worst good kicker in the league because he always seems to be able to get bounces and rolls and rolls and rolls.
He used another adjective, which you can't put on the air. There is Walt Wolf, the umpire, Aaron Pointer, Clyde Sale, Bill Richardson. Let's see what this is going to end up being as they're going to take the penalty.
Illegal motion. Team not set. Against the offense. 4th down.
Earl Sorgan sorting that one out, and so Tollner now has to wait again to see if Richardson can keep from shanking one. They really debated all night long on whether they would have this man punting in this big game.
It's an adventure.
One that Tollner just soon not have. This time he doesn't hit it very well either. And they're going to get a better roll, though. It's going to go down to the 15-yard line, and so Washington should not have taken that penalty.
And not only that, Ron Milas, number 12, the punt returner, made a mistake, though. He should have called a fair catch and caught the ball and prevented, maybe 10 more yards.
Well, Troy Richardson will be credited with a 56-yard punt, but watch this. Ted Tollner, even though it ended up being a fine punt, it rolled 20 yards, and he's saying, well,
kick the ball is what he's saying, or hit it hard, get it up in the air.
But it ended up being a fine punt because Ron Milas did not try to make the fair catch.
Well, the Washington coaches were chastising Ron Milas for the same thing. He made a mistake in not fair catching the ball.
From the 12, that's where Washington will have it. Walt Hunt, Jock Robinson in the backfield. Just underway in the first quarter, no score. Pitch to Robinson. Robinson out to the 15, close to the 17-yard line. Jerome Tyler, number 1, a very consistent free safety for this Trojan team, over to make the stop. Well, this Trojan defense is something special, and it starts with the linebackers. Dwayne Bickett, he'll be a number 1 draft pick. He's a premier player. Brian Luft, he's a 3-year starter for the Trojans. Colorado is slippery in the estimation of his defensive coordinator, and Brent Moore is a former linebacker playing a defensive tackle, and Jack Del Rio, one of 12 finalists for the Lombardi Award. Give up the middle to Walt Hunt. Hunt stopped by Luft. It's going to bring up 3rd down. Now the rest of the defense. Neil Hope, he calls the defensive signals. Keith Biggers, he is the fastest linebacker for the Trojans. Tommy Haynes, their best athlete back deep. Hopper, the fastest man at the other corner. Jerome Tyler, consistent. And they think Tim McDonald is in the mold of a Kenny Easley. 3rd down and 4 now for Washington. Pressure put on by Haynes, and getting it off beautifully was Cicero. The pass complete to Jock Robinson, and that will be enough for the first down. Keith Biggers over to make the stop, a pickup of 8.
only Paul Sickero's second start, Gary, but he has waited for an opportunity. And here you're going to see incredible pressure put on Paul Sicero. It was a big rush there by USC from the outside, but he did get the ball off. He did not take the sack. It was a 3rd and 4 situation. Those are the kind of big plays we're talking about. They don't have to be 20 or 30-yard throws, but it's avoiding a sack in this type of game. Being able to get rid of the football, there he converts a bad situation into a first down.
The initial first down of the game. Sicero, a tough pass to catch at best, as Danny Green, the intended receiver, that had very little touch on it. He really rifled that one. It'll be second down. Neil Hope, a very fine inside linebacker. He says he looks at himself as a Doberman pinscher. That's what he raises. He says they're cat-like, they're mean, and they're quick, and that's what he wants to be like.
You ever try to jog in a neighborhood with Doberman pinschers?
Second down, 10 now from the 26.5. Sicero off to Robinson. Robinson across the 30, still fighting for additional yardage. Neil Hope makes the stop at the 33-yard line, where it'll bring up third down. Let's go now to New York for an update from Pat O'Brien.
All right, Gary, we have 3 big upsets to report today. Texas national title hopes are gone right now as Houston upset them 29-15. Maryland trailed 31-0 at the half. They came back and beat Miami 42-40. And Rutgers has upset West Virginia 23-19. All final scores, all upsets. Let's go back to Gary and Pat.
Thank you, Pat. What upsets. Third down and 2. Sicero back. Pressure from Del Rio. And almost caught. Nice effort that time by Walt Hunt, the fullback. It's fourth down. They will have to punt the football.
You're talking about the coaching decisions at top of the show. Here's your first 3rd and 2 situation. Don James elects to throw the ball. There's Del Rio, number 52, off the corner, hurrying Sicero just a little bit. That's the kind of pressure you see. It's going to affect the high throws that causes the hurry throws by the quarterback.
Del Rio has 10 tackles for loss, 54 for his career this year.
He really has been outstanding. He's probably played steadier football this year than he has in the past. Been asked to be more spectacular in the past, but this year he's played very, very well.
Darrell Hopper for USC receives the punt at the 20. Gets to the 25, and he's dropped there. Cleveland got that one high again, a 46-yard punt, a 6-yard return, and James Kirkpatrick, who's 6'8", 270 pounds, was down there to make the stop. We'll return. Washington has the football. At the start of the year, Ted Tollner wanted to redshirt. Tim Green couldn't, and now he's got to get him emotionally stable early in the game. Tim Green talks about it.
I really believe Tim will be settled down. He's a very emotional, high-strung, competitive guy. I mean, you'll love it. And he's become better each week at controlling himself as he's got game experience. I mean, you have to remember that Tim really didn't get any work during 2 days. He was going to redshirt, and all of a sudden, bam, Sean Salisbury goes down, and he has to get himself ready during the season. Each week, he's become a better quarterback. It culminates with a championship game. He has 5 starts under his belt. I think he'll play a tremendous game today.
So Green has his team at the 25-yard line. First down, no score. In motion, Cormier, give to Crutcher. Crutcher out to the 30-yard line. A pickup of 4. Second down, 6. Ron Holmes there with yet another tackle. Last year, Ron Holmes had 16 tackles against USC, 2 sacks and 2 fumble recoveries.
Let's look at this offensive line. It is a very, very large offensive line, but this is not a spectacular play, but this is the kind of play you're going to see a lot of out of this USC team today. The 3- and 4-yard runs, and it's important for Fred Crutcher to make 3-yard runs, 5-yard runs. If he didn't have a hole there by that offensive line, he has to create one.
Second down coming up, 6 yards to go. Green to Crutcher again, and Crutcher has a first down for USC to the 38-yard line. Joe Kelly and Tim Peoples made the stop, an 8-yard pickup on the play.
Same view of that big offensive line. This time, Fred Crutcher uses those eyes in the I formation. Your tailback can cut back and find little holes, and that's what Fred Crutcher does well. Does not have the blazing speed of some of the tailbacks that have played here at Southern Cal in the past. But again, good eyes. Every tailback here at USC has had a tradition of good eyes, being able to see the whole field and make the cut when he had to.
USC, all 5 of their plays have gone to Crutcher thus far. Now Green to throw for the first time, and wide open. That's Randy Tanner, number 23. First down to the 42-yard line of Washington.
Well, Ted Tollner settled Tim Green down by running the ball, I believe, the first 5 or 6 times. And then he got him in a good field position situation, a play-action fake. And when you run the ball 6 times, that has to hold some linebackers. And Tim Green has a strong arm. He can drive the football in between linebackers, and that's exactly what he did. And this is exactly what Ted Tollner wanted, the kind of start that Tim Green wanted to have. Ease him into the football game. Don't ask him to do too much. Now he has his team in very good field position.
20-yard pickup to the 42 of Washington. No score in this first quarter of play. Cormier in motion. Throw to the far side. It was deflected, I believe. Tim Ware, the intended receiver. And it was this man, Ron Holmes, who had a hand on the ball. Let's go back to New York now. An update on TCU. Here's Pat.
Gary, we told you earlier that Texas lost. Now TCU trails Texas Tech after quarterback Aaron Kesey hits Buzz Tatum right in the middle there. A 55-yard touchdown reception. And TCU trails 13-3 in the second quarter. Let's go back out to sunny Southern California.
Well, who is going to go to the Cotton Bowl?
That Southwest Conference is kind of a battle now, isn't it?
That, by the way, that pass deflection by Holmes now for the year gives him 7 of them. Here's a give straight ahead of Kennedy Pola, the fullback. The ball is loose. They're piling at the 34-yard line. Kennedy Pola playing his best football of his career. He's had some injuries this year. It'll be the Trojans football at the 34.
USC uses their fullback as kind of a change of pace. You know in tennis, Gary, how you have the lob? Well, USC uses the fullback in their change of pace. Everybody's looking for the tailback, and next thing you know, whap, 230-pound Kennedy Pola has the ball, and he's beating down your throat. The ball did pop loose. And this is the one thing that this Washington defense has been so good at, is creating turnovers, creating fumbles. That time, however, USC recovered.
3rd down and 2. That was Fitzpatrick that saved the football for USC, the big offensive lineman. Cormier reversing direction. Play action by Green. Beautifully called, and Cormier dropped the football. They did everything but forgot to catch the football.
Interesting, isn't both coaches, we talked about coaches' decisions. We saw Don James in his first 3rd and 2 throw the football. Ted Tollner comes out in a 3rd and 1 situation and throws the football. Had Cormier wide open. It was a very good call. The execution was there, except Cormier just forgot to catch it.
Well, Pat, maybe these two coaches said, I'm getting tired of being stereotyped. I'm going to come out and throw caution to the wind.
Well, they've been talking about defense all week.
This will be a 51-yard field goal attempt by Steve Jordan, who's hit 11 of 15. His longest this year has been 53. It's good. Steve Jordan with a 51-yarder, 2 yards shorter than his best this year. He's won 2 games this year for the Trojans, and he gives them the early lead. USC 3, Washington nothing. Number 1 ranked Huskies trailing. Steve Jordan has given the Trojans a 3-0 lead, his 4th field goal of 50 yards plus this season. Monzel Hill and Danny Green will go back for the kickoff. 6:56 left to go in the first quarter. This is Hill, and Hill out to the 18-yard line. He swarmed under there. Junior Thurman, Dennis Thurman's brother, who plays for the Cowboys, made the stop. Let's go back to New York. Here's Pat O'Brien.
Gary, Robbie Bosco of BYU gets his 29th touchdown pass here against San Diego State. He drills it in there to Glenn Kozlowski, and he celebrates the nation's longest winning streak at 21. BYU 34-3, 4th quarter. Back to Gary and Pat.
From the 18-yard line, Washington trailing 3-0. Finney is now in at fullback for the Huskies. Roten goes in motion, a give to Finney. And the sophomore is to the 20-yard line, a pickup of 2. It'll be 2nd and 8. Del Rio was there along with Neil Hope. Looking ahead, a week from today, we're not going to shift very far away to one of the games. USC against UCLA in the Rose Bowl, and then Michigan against Ohio State, and Iowa's losing today, and that will give Ohio State against Michigan a big football game for the Rose Bowl.
Keith Byers looks like he's back and healthy, huh?
Didn't play a lot the other week, but he's ready to go. Cicero on a 2nd down 8. Over the middle, Danny Green. And Green has a catch that moves the ball to the 48-yard line, a 31-yard completion.
Once again, Paul Cicero stayed in under a heavy rush. You can't say enough about this young man early in the football game because USC is putting some pressure on you. You see some people right there in his face. But USC was in a situation where there was no center fielder. There was nobody there in the middle of the field. And Danny Green, well, he is probably the biggest play receiver on this football field for either team. The ball is thrown up in the air. Danny Green actually had to wait for the football, but did catch it for a big play for the Huskies.
That's already 6 passes by the Huskies. That one a 31-yard completion at the 48 of USC. Cicero to throw again. And this one will be dropped by David Trimble. Incomplete. Tommy Haynes, number 9, defending on the play. Haynes, they think, will be playing a safety position in the National Football League next year. Let's check some of the games, Pat. There's been some real shakeups. This one's not a shakeup, however. That one is, yeah. Boy, Bill Yeoman's Houston team has upset some people this year. Florida State had all that offense. They had 55 points last week, and Florida beat Georgia. Galen Hall still unbeaten.
Oklahoma rolling again.
Danny Bradley's back at quarterback. That changed that. 2nd and 10 from the 48. Jock Robinson, nothing. Tommy Haynes, number 9, made sure of that. He's out of West Covina, California. 3rd down now and 11 for Washington. Alabama at halftime leading LSU. And Ohio State now beating up on Northwestern. Dennis Green, by the way, got a new contract at Northwestern.
Doug Flutie set a record in that game where this past during college football. SMU over Rice. Mustangs. 3rd and 11. Here's Cicero.
Open again is Green, and Green steps out of bounds. He'll be just short of the 1st down. It's inside the 40. He needs to get actually to the 38.5. Cleveland then will come in on a 4th down to punt the football.
You're going to get a good look at some footwork by number 80, Danny Green. Now, he is known as a long strider, but the nice thing about him here, after he catches the football, he's able to keep those feet dance a little bit. He was a little upset with himself, though, because he did run the pattern, a half a yard short there, Gary, and that was a critical mistake, actually, by Green, and not running that pattern 1 yard deeper, and you have a field goal situation.
So on 4th down, Don James elects to go to the punt. Thane Cleveland tries to keep it in, and he's not going to be able to. It was batted back into the field of play. It'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. That was a 39-yard punt. Last week, Cleveland was superb in that department. He had 2 of them downed on the 3-yard line.
Well, Don James is known for his special teams. He probably have the best special teams in the country.
Illegal batting by the kicking team in the end zone. The penalty puts the ball on the 20-yard line. 1st down.
Well said. I was just going to comment on that myself, but they do. Washington is remarkable on their special teams. Another indication of that.
We have a timeout at the 4:59 mark. This guy's been the difference thus far. Gary Bender along with Pat Hayden at the 20-yard line after the ball went into the end zone is USC. And we're seeing a lot of new wrinkles and more wide open we might have anticipated.
Well, Tim Green for USC has settled down a little bit earlier than they anticipated.
Here comes Crutcher. And Crutcher out across the 25. Let's see what he marked him out of bounds. J.C. Pearson, the cornerback over there. There'll be a pickup of 8 yards. It'll be 2nd down and 2.
Ron Holmes, number 90 there in the middle of your screen of Washington, is a legitimate All-American candidate, an outstanding player. This is going to be a great battle today. Him between Ken Rutgers, number 77. There he gets past Rutgers, but the second Trojan blocker is able to knock him down and allowed Crutcher to get to the outside, and that USC pitch pick up, 8-9 yards.
They have, in effect, 3 tight ends in on this play. Cormier in motion. Gives to Crutcher on a gain of 2 that they need, and he has more than enough for the 1st down. Out to the 32. Joe Kelly and J.C. Pearson over to make the stop. 1st down. Kenneth Davis of TCU has been sensational, and Pat O'Brien's going to show you some of that.
All right, Gary, the Horned Frogs have put the nation's 3rd leading rusher into action. There's Kenneth Davis. He goes in for his 14th touchdown, and TCU is back in the game. 13-10 at halftime. Let's go back to Gary and Pat.
TCU scared the dickens out of Texas last week, and they're playing TCU tough. That was a first down run a moment ago. Green over the middle, complete to Boyer, the tight end. Mark Boyer advances the ball to the 39, a pickup of 6, 2nd and 4. Joe Krakowski making the tackle. The dean of Pac-10 coaches, Don James, he wants to return to the Rose Bowl. Do you realize how close they have been to going there 4 straight years?
And if they would have won today, it would have been 5. He's really had his team at the top of the Pac-10 the last 2 years. And there's the man who wants to get his team at the top of the Pac-10. We talked about breaking that barrier, the next barrier, winning the championship game. And the people here at USC, believe me, they expect it.
On a 2nd down, Green off to Crutcher. Crutcher's going to be a little bit short of the first down. Joe Kelly, Steve Albert, 93, over to make the tackle on Crutcher. And they're going to measure to see if he got the first down. You mentioned earlier, Pat, that Doug Flutie broke a record. I think it'd be easier to ask when he didn't break a record this year.
You know, he was playing with a bad shoulder there. Another 311 yards for him. He is remarkable. Without a doubt, he is the most exciting player in college football this year. I can't think of too many more exciting college players ever. Can you? I mean, other than myself. But
well, you just like short guys. That's the reason you're voting for him. But I would assume he's got that Heisman wrapped up, huh?
Who's going to contest? Keith Byers, I guess. Maybe Robbie Bosco, but they haven't had the kind of schedule that Boston College has had.
Well, the measurement indicates that it is not a first down. It'll be 3rd down and less than a yard to go. And again, 3 tight ends for USC. Cormier, Boyer, and Eric McKee, number 89, have come in.
Well, I'll tell you what, they'd like to do something about that. It's a little bit misleading because they didn't play in 1982, but in 3 games, they have not put the ball into the end zone, and their offensive coordinators, believe me, have been telling their people about that.
They broke that long string of not being shut out of 186 games last year. That was an NCAA record for USC. Here's Crutcher on the 3rd down. He has the first down to the 45. Tim Meamber, J.C. Pearson combining on the tackle. USC retains possession of the football.
Ted Tollner said before the game, every inch of field position is critical. Here is a 3rd and 1 situation. What does USC do? They go over that big offensive line. James Fitzpatrick, the weak side tackle, number 70, closed his man to the inside, allowed Crutcher to easily pick up the first down, just bouncing off his block.
At the 45, first down. Cormier in motion. Green wants to throw. Protection is there. Norman is there. And Norman has a first down catch at the 35. You see all the white shirts around USC. They always bring a guy in, and they knock that ball loose quite often.
USC was accused of holding by a number of coaches, Gary, early in the year by California and by Stanford. Here's Ron Holmes, number 90, against 76. Tom Halleck, there is some holding going on there, I guarantee you.
That was a 22-yard completion to Norman now, who keeps the string alive of 20 straight games, catching at least 1 pass. 22-yarder, and now Green is 4 of 6 for 51 yards. Crutcher inside the 30. There's a penalty flag. Crutcher stopped at the 28. Meamber again on the tackle along with Fred Small. It's going to be holding, and they must have watched that replay from a moment ago.
Let's take another look at these linebackers, Tim Meamber and Joe Kelly, the inside linebackers for Washington. These guys spearhead their defense. Number 42, tremendous speed. He's a 4'6" man for a big man. He just throws his body. An interesting character, Gary, in that he invites his teammates over his house once a week to have his defense watch film with him. Reminds me a little bit of Jack Reynolds when I played with the Rams, but a real committed, very committed to the game of football.
That's exactly what he is, and he's the cog that they feel they just can't lose defensively. The leader both on and off the field on that defensive front. And now from the 44-yard line after the penalty, it'll be first down and 20. Cormier in motion. Crutcher again. Check that. Ryan Knight, the freshman, inside the 40-yard line to the 38. Joe Kelly was there to make the stop, and this is the highly heralded freshman, Ryan Knight. Last year, he had a brilliant game. He gained 501 yards in one contest.
And thus far as a freshman, Ryan Knight has run for more yards than Marcus Allen did when he was a freshman here. They expect great things from him.
He had 122 yards against California this year. Second down. Still a long ways to go. 2nd and 14. Green, pressure. He's in trouble. Got rid of it. Averting a long loss that time. Pressure coming from the Amber and Tony Lewis. That's what you have to do, Pat, sometime, is just avoid those long losses.
But you see Tim Green chewing somebody out again. That shows you a little bit of kind of his personality. But number 42, nobody blocked him as a middle linebacker, put great pressure on him. But Tim Green used his head there. He used his head in getting rid of the ball, giving his team a chance to perhaps get in position to kick a field goal.
USC defense that's carried the Trojans this year. It'll be 3rd and 14 now for USC. Norman and Ware. Now Timmy Ware. Their speed merchant split out. Green. That's going to be picked off, intercepted. Bestie Jackson, 27. 25th interception this year by Washington. And for Jackson, his 5th.
And a poor read here by Tim Green. He was covered all the way. There was double coverage on him. Bestie Jackson had inside position. There was another defender behind the receiver there. Bestie Jackson steps right in front of Timmy Ware, and is lucky he actually slipped down there. Otherwise, he would have scored. Pretty good protection. The one thing about Tim Green is they say he doesn't find secondary receivers very well. Timmy Ware was obviously covered. Perhaps the tight end, when your outside receivers are double covered, the tight end has to be open.
First down just across the 30-yard line. Jock Robinson. Wayne Bickett, number 80 there defensively to lead the Trojans defensively, and it's going to bring up 2nd down, and still going to be 8 yards to go.
'25th interception by that Washington defense. There's Skip Hall, their assistant head coach, talking to them. They're so aggressive on defense. They put so much pressure on the quarterback.
They love to run and hit, the RH factor, as Don James talks about it. Here is Jock Robinson on a 2nd down and 8 across the 35 to the 37. Jackson, the man who just picked off his 5th pass of the year. Del Rio and Hope making the tackle, and it's going to be 3rd down and 4 now for Washington. 56 seconds left in this first quarter. 3-0 USC. Ron Cookie Jackson now comes in, replacing Robinson at tailback. Sicaro on the roll, deflected and incomplete. Tony Roten, the intended receiver, and it looked like it was Dwayne Jackson, number 3, that may have gotten a hand on this pass. We're going to have to punt the football as we look to the east. And there is the Ivy League championship. Penn has defeated Harvard to win the title. Syracuse shutting out Navy. Syracuse upset Nebraska earlier this year. Isn't it? Unpredictable team. Here's Cleveland with another fine punt. Darrell Hopper will return it to the 28-yard line. It was a 1-yard punt that time.
Let's take a look at some more scores from the East. Pittsburgh finally got their 2nd win. Washington's offense has been right on track in the first 17 plays. We mentioned that earlier in the game. They had 9 passes and 8 rushes.
From the 28-yard line, USC has Norman and Ware split out. Ware has been out of the lineup. He had a slight fracture of his right forearm, but they need him in there for his deep threat speed. 26 seconds left in the first quarter. Green on a deep handoff to Crutcher. Crutcher across the 30 to the 31. Steve Albert, 93, the sophomore out of Bellingham, Washington, making the tackle. Going to bring up 2nd down and 7. And you see the time elapsing here in the first quarter. Tim Green, they wanted to stabilize him in that first quarter, and then, as Ted Toner put it, go after him. Well, they've stabilized him. They've gotten through the first quarter, and the Trojans have the lead. They lead it 3-0. We'll return after this commercial break and a word from your local station. Don James is 5-3 against the Trojans, but to win number 6 He was very concerned about the USC rushing game.
Well, the thing that's got us worried a little bit, Pat, at least me, they played well, but we played 7 passing teams. And we played 1 Houston Beer team and Bill Yeoman's Houston team. And we played 1 running team in Michigan. So we've really had to throw out a lot of passing schemes this week and get back to, playing in the trenches and working upfield and playing against a great running team.
We start the second quarter. USC with a 3-0 lead. Second down 7 from their own 32-yard line. Green pops it out to Crutcher. Crutcher will be short of the first down across the 35 to the 36. Joe Kelly, and that shows you the speed of Kelly along with Bestie Jackson over to make the stop. It'll be 3rd down and 3. Let's look back through the first 15 minutes.
Well, there have been 1 turnover by USC, but the interesting thing has been the balance by Southern Cal. 50 yards rushing, 50 yards passing. That is the kind of balance Ted Tolner's looking for out of his offense. Actually, a little bit surprised by the passing yardage.
Washington this year has averaged 5 turnovers. Their defense, they've got 1 of them right now.
USC turned the ball over 5 times last week.
3rd down and 2 yards to go. Cormier in motion, busted play, and Green, he got the first down. Excellent ad-lib effort to the 41. Tony Lewis and Reggie Rogers got him.
Well, it's an adventure when Tim Green takes the ball from center. And again, some of the things, he gets very excited. He's very emotional. Sometimes he turns the wrong way. But what do you do when you turn the wrong way? You make a guy miss and you run for the 2 yards and you pick up a first down, right? Nothing to it.
Nothing to it. He's emotional, sometimes to his advantage and also to his disadvantage. They were going to redshirt him, as Ted Tolner said earlier, and he's been pressed into service, and he's won all 5 of his previous starts. On a first down, Green intended for Cormier, and all 6 of him went after that one, but couldn't get it. He may be one of the biggest tight ends in USC history. 6'6", they list him at 220, and he has very, very good speed.
And they use him very much as a blocker, too. You'll see him go in motion a lot, and most of the time he blocks on defensive backs, and it's a real advantage, his 6'6" height, because he gets up, kind of blots out the sun. They can't see anything, and the next thing you know, the tailback is running right by you.
USC has had some very successful first halves, as that statistic would show you.
And the second half has been Washington's half.
Here comes Crutcher on a 2nd down 10. Crutcher across the 45 to the 46. Had it as he picked up 5. It always impresses me how durable the tailbacks have been at USC. Here's Crutcher last week, carried 41 times, and he loved every minute of it.
Well, you're right, and they want 40 carries out of the tailback position. And it has been a tradition here at USC. They coach it. I don't know how you coach toughness and durability, but they expect that out of their position. It's been a tradition, and it it's not very often you see the tailback limping off the field for the Trojans.
He limps off. He doesn't get to play anymore.
He doesn't come back, no.
3rd down 5. Kennedy Pola, the only set running back on this play. Cormier in motion. Green in some difficulty. And he's not going to get the first down this time because Tim Meambra was there. It'll be 4th down. Let's go to New York. Here's Pat.
Gary, in the Big Ten, Iowa's losing to Michigan State 17-3, Purdue losing to Wisconsin 17-7, and Ohio State is back in the Rose Bowl business. Keith Byers thinks so as well. His 18th touchdown run this season, and Ohio State is rolling over Northwestern 28-3. Back to Gary.
So the showdown next week, Michigan-Ohio State, right here on CBS from Ohio Stadium. Midas will receive this punt from Troy Richardson, and not a very artistic punt, but it might be effective. It's going to be. Look at this. They've got it at the 1.
Gary, that is the second critical mistake by Ron Milas, number 12, the punt returner. He has to get up and fair catch those balls. Now, he leads the Pac-10 in punt returns, but he's allowing the ball to hit the ground. And when you do that, you're going to give up big plays like this. USC has got Washington backed up.
Los Angeles Coliseum, UCLA, Washington, the winner going to the Rose Bowl. We have 12 minutes and 14 seconds left in the second quarter, and after a 51-yard punt by Troy Richardson, that is where Washington will start. And we talked about how important field position would be in this game.
Well, it's very difficult to drive 99 yards against either of these defenses.
Ciccarello trying to wedge it out of there. Cicero getting a little bit of it, but not much. A gain of 1. It'll be 2nd and 9. Del Rio and Biggers combining on the tackle.
Let's take a look at the thrust of the offensive line. There's 51, Dan Ernestine, their best offensive line. He's the center. He does a nice block on Colorado, the nose guard. And Cicero just tries to follow him. Oh, picks up just about a yard.
2nd and 9 from the 2. Danny Green goes in motion. Cicero getting off, and Josh Robinson is almost dropped for a safety. Neil Hope, 54, got him.
This is an emotional USC football team and a USC coach, and here you're going to see tremendous penetration. Now, this defense knows that Washington is conservative by nature. They know they want to run the football down here, so they get into gaps, they shoot the gaps, they penetrate, and there's number 54, Neil Hope, but almost caught Robinson for a safety.
3rd down, 10. Cicero giving off again to Robinson, and they're going to have to punt the football. He's out to the 5. Hope again along with Jerome Tyler, and the crowd now reacting.
We've said it a couple of times, Gary, field position is so important, and really the difference here was that the ball was not fair caught by Ron Milas, number 12, when USC punted it a moment ago.
Here's Cleland. No big rush put on. Darren Hopper has it at his 48 to the 40, and he'll advance it to the 37-yard line. A 42-yard punt, 12-yard return. Mark Larson made the tackle. USC with excellent field position, and Clemson. They play Maryland next week in Death Valley.
Boy, Maryland's played well, haven't they? Goodness.
North Carolina now coming back at the end of the year. Wake Forest winning. And Virginia,
yeah.
What a surprise they've been, Pat.
They really have been tough all year long. They've got that big game against Maryland that you mentioned. Kentucky, they played well, too.
They will play Florida, right? And if Florida defeats that Kentucky team, they'll win their first SEC crown.
Well, Galen Hall's done a nice job, hasn't he?
3 tight ends now for USC. 3-0, USC with the lead, and the ball at the 37 of the Huskies. Green, beautiful protection, going deep. Intended down there for Norman. Double coverage. Crowd thought he might have been bumped on that play. It was Vesty Jackson and Tim Peoples double teaming Norman.
Tim Green feels lucky right now. He feels like he can go for it all. This is not really a wise decision because Hank Norman is double covered, but he gets pretty good protection. Like I say, sometimes a quarterback has a feel about a game. He feels he can get it behind a defender and feels he can maybe come up with a big play, even though it's not the right decision.
2nd and 10. Ryan Knight now has come in and tailback for the Trojans. Cormier in motion. Here's Ryan Knight. Inside the 35 to the 34. 3rd down coming up. Tim Peoples making the tackle, 3rd and 7.
Interesting call here for Ted Tallner because they are in Steve Jordan's kicking range now, his field goal range. 3rd and 7. We talked about coaching decisions. Do you throw the ball downfield here now, attempting to pick up the 1st down, but having a quarterback who's already thrown 1 interception, or do you play a little bit more conservative, throw a screen pass or run a draw and kick a field goal if you don't make the 1st down?
Reggie Rogers has come out. They bring in another defensive back, Ron Milas. Green gives to Knight. Knight will not get the 1st down. He's to the 30-yard line, and it's 4th down. Well, you mentioned Steve Jordan, and that's who it's going to be.
This Washington defense, we said how fast they are. They are a very physical defense, too. Ryan Knight is a freshman. This is his 1st game against a very physical Washington team. He's going to have 3 more of these, and after hits like this, I'm not so sure he may want to come back.
You're right. He has a date against UCLA and then Notre Dame.
Interesting call there. I said USC was setting up the field goal position, but they're on the right hash. That's usually not favorable for a soccer-style kicker. A soccer-style kicker generally likes to be on the left hash.
47-yard attempt now by Jordan, who earlier kicked a 51-yarder. Kicks on the way, and Jordan is 2 for 2. USC, who's won 5 in a row. They have a 6-0 lead. 9 minutes to go against the top-ranked team in the country in this 1st half.
Don James is known as the best special teams coach in the country, but his special teams are really hurting him here in this first half. They've had a couple decisions where they should have fair caught the ball, and there's the man, Steve Jordan, who has put USC ahead 6-0.
Washington has trailed only 3 times this year. And now find themselves trailing 6-0. Jordan kicking off to Hill, and Hill deep will not bring it out. As they bring it out to the 20, we're going to shift our emphasis back to New York, to Pat O'Brien.
All right, Gary, you've got a conference title on the line out there. Here's 2 more today. Penn can lock up the undisputed Ivy title with a win over Cornell next week. They beat Harvard today. And Tulsa gets its 5th straight Missouri Valley title by beating Indiana State today 24-17. Back to Gary and Pat.
Thank you, Patrick. And at the 20-yard line, USC, they just haven't had good field position. The best they've had was at the 31. That's when they intercepted the pass.
Well, USC gained 18 yards in the last exchange of punts, too, so it has been a field position game just as we anticipated.
Cicero giving off to Jock Robinson, the MVP in the Rose Bowl in his freshman year, and he'd like to get back to the Rose Bowl again. Neil Hope and Brian Luff make the tackle. The Big Ten. That will be the other half of that Rose Bowl picture, and it was muddied a little bit today. Michigan winning. Wisconsin leading in the 4th quarter. Miami of Ohio, and of course, Ohio State was winning. We were very, very interested in what's happening to Iowa. I understand Chuck Long was dressed for that game, had not played early. Cicero back over the middle. First down catch. Lonzel Hill, the son of J.D. Hill, who was an outstanding player at Arizona State and later in the National Football League. 15-yard completion.
And a good call here by Don James that got him out of a hole. Remember we said about field position. One way to get some quick field position is to be able to get the ball downfield. And, of course, the first thing you have to do is protect the quarterback. Cicero got good protection, as you can see right here, and able to deliver the ball to Hill. But now Washington has a little bit of field position to work with.
Finney, Robinson, the running backs. First down. Give to Finney. Finney out to the 40-yard line. A pickup of 2, maybe 3. Rex Moore and Neil Hope combining on the stop. It'll be 2nd down and 7. Finney has had some problems with his shoulder. Didn't practice much this week. Kansas State, Iowa State, a final, a tie. Arkansas in the 3rd quarter. Ken Hatfield's made the Razorbacks very competitive this year. Second down, 7. Green in motion. Handoff straight ahead. Finney again. Maybe a yard more. It's going to be 3rd down coming up. 3rd and 6. Brent Moore and Tony Colorado making the tackle. Cicero is a 4th-year junior. He waited patiently, and maybe I shouldn't say patiently. He waited.
You're right.
To play quarterback.
But you're right. He's the 4th year in Don James's program, and that's what it takes. That quarterback situation at Washington over the years has been one where you've had a rite of passage by going through some adversity, and he's waited his turn.
On a 3rd and 6. Thrown away. Danny Green, the intended receiver, and Washington not doing a very good job on 3rd down.
Well, they've only been able to convert one of 7 3rd down attempts.
So Cicero will sit down. We could see Hugh Millen before the day is over. We were told that Millen got a lot of playing time this week in practice.
Well, the real situation here, though, one of the reasons they have not converted to 3rd down situations, Gary, is they've been in 3rd and 7 and 8 a lot. We expected to see a lot of 3rd and 2 and 4th and 1 decisions to be made, but USC has been awfully good on 1st down defense.
Here is Cleveland with a very high punt. Fair catch is called for and made by Tommy Haynes at the 25. 43-yard punt by Cleveland. No return. The Trojans with a 6-0 lead. League upside down, isn't it?
And only his 2nd year.
On the 25, Crutcher starts USC's drive and moves it out to the 28-yard line. Pat, one thing about USC that you always think about when you think of the Trojans, a big offensive line. The All-Americans through the years, they feel this one is very comparable to some of those.
Well, it's a big offensive line. It's relatively young. The thing that USC has done about their offensive line is made it a glamour position. They've promoted those guys. They've given them a lot of publicity. When you're a big kid and you're growing up in the Los Angeles area, a lot of big kids want to come here because they feel they're going to get some recognition.
Second down 7. That line average is 275 pounds. Here is Crutcher to the 30-yard line. Well, to give you an update on what some of those linemen think of that prestige, here's Ken Rutgers.
Well, you have great people in the past like Anthony Munoz and Brad Buddy, Roy Foster, Don Mosbar, and Bruce Matthews, and they've done a great job. They've been All-Americans and excellent NFL players, and you try and follow in the footsteps of them and surpass and be better than they were.
He's the only senior up front in that offensive line. From the 30-yard line, 3rd down 5 for the Trojans. Green, a little short. Intended for Boyer, the tight end. And they're going to have to punt again, and that means
Adventure
Toner's
time.
not going to watch the field. He'll probably turn his back.
But let's watch number 12, Ron Milas, the punt returner, see if he moves up. And actually, his coaches now are signaling to him to move up a little bit so he doesn't let the ball bounce.
They started the year with Danny Green as the punt returner. Then Milas replaced him. And Troy Richardson, the man of adventure, who's back at the 15.
We've got new stat, punt and then roll.
What's he got, a 20 and an 18-yard roll? Well, it's the end result, right? Big rush. It's probably one of his better efforts as far as being hit, and Milas was dumped. He did not call for the fair catch, and he was belted at the 35-yard line by Greg Coet.
This is one of the things that happen when you send a 10-man rush. You have nobody blocking for you. And so you catch the ball and whap, there's a lot of red jerseys, and that's another good reason not to be a punt returner. You don't find too many guys volunteering for that position. You were assigned the position of punt returner.
Especially quarterbacks, right?
Joe Theismann did it.
That's right. From the 35 after a 35-yard punt. 6-0 USC. Jock Robinson bursts out of there. First down run to the 47, 13-yard pickup. Tommy Haynes, number 9, making the tackle.
This is the best first down run we have seen from Washington here today. It was a nice little hole there. You see Neil Holt, number 54, trying to fill the hole, but he is blocked by the fullback. Created a little seam for Jock Robinson, but this is what we expected a little bit more out of Washington, being able to pick up 5, 6, 7 yards on first down. But really, it's been a field position. They've been in terrible field position all day.
Robinson coming off with back-to-back 3-touchdown games. After the 13-yard gain, a first down to give to Walt Hunt, the fullback. He may have gotten to the midfield stripe, a pickup of 2, and Rex Moore made the stop. Rex Moore is a freshman. His brother Rob played at Stanford. He was a fullback there and just excellent against the rush. In fact, Rex Moore's father was the best man in Paul Wiggins' wedding.
Is that right? Now, that's a fact I didn't know.
Bernie Kosar and Miami was stunned today. But this guy, look at this. 363 yards. They led 31-0 and lost it.
Unbelievable. We're looking forward to seeing he and Doug Flutie in a few weeks.
That'll be Thanksgiving Friday on CBS. Cicero throwing behind Danny Green.
You see a disgusted Paul Cicero. He really was upset because he had Danny Green open.
Okay, let's go back to New York. Pat, you've got it.
Gary, the Hawkeyes refuse to roll over and die. Chuck Long here pitches to Owen Gill for a 2-yard touchdown run, and they're back in the game. Michigan State leads, though, 17-10 in the fourth quarter. 9 minutes left, Gary. Let's go back to you.
Iowa, if they'd win there, they'd have to go to Minnesota next week and win to get to the Rose Bowl. But you can see they are having difficulty. Third down now. 8 yards to go for Washington. Green in motion. Cicero on target to Jock Robinson, and he's very close to the first down. Darrell Hopper, 14 over to make the tackle. I don't believe he got it. I don't think he has the first down.
Well, it's going to face Don James with one of those 4th and 1 decisions we talked about early in the game. Paul Sicro is a quarterback right now who is very exacting about himself. He was upset a play ago that he did not get the ball to Danny Green, so he went the safe route this time and dumped the ball on a 3rd and 8 and 3rd and 9 situation to Robinson, hoping he could pick up the first down. But Sicro needed that kind of pass right now just to get him back into the game because he was beginning to get down on himself.
It was not a first down. It's 4th and 1. This is the 2nd time now on 4th down they've punted. We'll keep track of that. We thought this game wore on. That might be one of the big coaching decisions. What to do on 4th. Here's Cleveland hit it a mile high. And that is the reason he had 2 of them on the 3-yard line last week. He's come up with another one, a 39-yard punt. He gets that ball so high that it doesn't have much of a roll on it.
Well, the special teams, and you said, are so good at Washington. You're going to look at number 68 right there, Garth Thomas. You think he's breaking his neck right there looking at the ball. But it comes down, he gets behind the ball, and is allowed there to stop it inside the 5-yard line. They have done this all year long, Washington has.
They'll have it inside the 5, USC will. He's the emotional guy in that offensive line for USC. Tom Halleck, 6'6", 265, a junior. His team with a 6-0 lead, but now in a very, very precarious situation. They had the ball first down inside the 5 after that very effective punt by Thane Cleveland. Cormier in motion. Give to Ryan Knight, and he'll go nowhere. Fred Small made sure of that, along with Ron Holmes, a loss of a yard. Small, number 5, is almost impossible to block. He's only 6 foot, but so quick.
Watch Ron Holmes, too, number 90, the All-American defensive end for Washington. You want to see some strength? See, he's going to throw one of those big linemen. Get out of my way, he says. Steps in the hole, and there he puts a stop on Ryan Knight. He's an outstanding player. Holmes, great quickness and surprising strength.
They want to get him even stronger. That's one area that they want to work on. That's the only thing he lacks. He's got everything else. 2nd down, 11. Hold of the fullback, and nothing going there. Reggie Rogers made sure of that.
Game of field position, USC's worst field position to start a drive. So on the last punt exchange, the Washington defense gained 35 yards.
So from the 5-yard line, they're back to the original line of scrimmage. 3rd down, 10. There's Rogers. He'll be playing basketball this year for Marv Harshman. The Huskies, preseason number 1 pick in the Pac-10 conference.
I think he hopes that he plays after January 1st a little basketball, right? Hopes to be busy January 1st.
In motion goes Cormier again. On a 3rd down, Green to throw from the end zone. Too tall. Intended receiver couldn't get up high enough, and that being Hank Norman. And they're going to have to punt from their own end zone. You think Troy Richardson was nervous before.
But what about Ted Tolner?
I told you he doesn't watch on the punts. He turns his back to the playing field. We've been picking on this guy, but all he's been doing is punting the ball 51 yards, 56 yards.
Washington has blocked 4 punts this year.
Got it off, and that is not very well hit. Going to bounce out of bounds in the vicinity of the 40-yard line, and Washington will have the field position they have been missing. That was a 33-yard punt.
A 1-yard roll.
Keeping track of that, a 20 and an 18-yard roll. That time he only got 1 yard off of it. That shows you the field position. Pat's been keeping track of what's happened on the exchange of punts.
Well, they've been punting too much is the problem, and part of that is because they have been backed up, but now they've got a very good field, a shorter field to work with.
On the 39, Sicaro on 1st down. Wide open is Patterson. He'll be wrestled out of bounds after a 16-yard pickup. Rex Moore, Jerome Tyler over to make the stop. There's the guy that makes the tough catches for Washington.
A characteristic call for Don James. When he gets a team in good field position or after a turnover, he likes to come back and throw the ball downfield. And this is what precisely is what happened. Washington finally got some good field position. They come right back with a pass downfield, a safe pass, an outside route to Mark Patterson, number 19, who has a big cushion. Nobody there really to interfere with the throw.
First down from the 22. USC leads it 6-0. Cicero back. Far side, wide open, but overthrown. David Trimble had the defense beaten in that corner.
And Paul Cicero, I've been watching him after he's throwing the football. Again, he's missed 2 or 3 wide open receivers, and he's getting a little bit down on himself, Gary.
It's now 7 of 15 for 91 yards. We talked about critical games as we approach bowl time. Penn is now the Ivy League champion, defeating Harvard. That game, boy, Iowa flying last week and losing, and Ohio State now very much in the Rose Bowl picture, especially if Iowa loses. Here's Cicero. Patterson, that is a remarkable catch inside the 5 at the 4, first and goal.
We saw Mark Patterson earlier in the year make a big catch against Michigan. Remember, Gary, he's come up with 2 right here, 2 big catches. In USC's defensive scheme, they ask their safeties to cover an awful lot of ground, but they aren't quick enough to get over and cover the outside, the deep outside, right that instance. And Mark Patterson there catches a beautiful throw by Cicero. The key here, Cicero had protection. Remember, early in the first quarter, Cicero was rushed, but there Cicero had a lot of time to throw the ball.
First and goal at the 4. Straight ahead football this time by Robinson, outside, touchdown. Robinson, he's coming on with a rush. He wants to get back to the Rose Bowl. 3 touchdowns 2 weeks ago, 3 last week, and now 1 today. And now, for the go-ahead point, Jeff Jaeger. The top-ranked Huskies have the lead.
Don James's team seized its field position. You're going to see the end result of that. The best field position of the day. Remember, here, Jock Robinson, they wanted him to become a better 4-yard runner. He's always trying to break the long run. But Don James wants him to be a 3-, 4-, and 5-yard runner as well. There, his great vision allows him to bounce outside and into the end zone. But remember the drive. It was a good field position. Don James came right back with a big pass to Mark Patterson on the outside. Patterson once again caught a big pass. They got him in position for Jock Robinson to get in the end zone.
They only had to go 38 yards because of that field position.
Keep talking about punts. Washington gained 19 yards on the exchange of punts, which really set up the TD drive.
Jock Robinson, you were talking about, he wanted him to hit in tough. That's the one thing that impressed Don James. He's had that body lean. He's been leaning over with a good tilt and hitting inside.
Well, you're right. In the past, he's been a little bit like Ronnie Harmon at Iowa, always looking for a long run, a touchdown run. Well, sometimes you need those 3 and 4 yards, and you have to lean those shoulders forward and get those tough yards.
Jaeger, who leads the Pac-10 in scoring, has given the Huskies a 7-6 lead. Tanner and Elbert Watts go back now for the Trojans. 1 minute, 56 seconds left in the first half. With this one, and they're going to rule it went out of bounds, so they'll have the 5-yard penalty. They'll have to kick off again. Critical games, West Virginia has lost 2 in a row. Rutgers a win, and we've documented the activity of Flutie today. South Carolina still unbeaten. I don't believe you can hold Florida State down for long, though. And Maryland, Bobby Ross and Maryland on top of the ACC and winning that one against Miami. And Houston upsetting Texas. The thing was such a shock, Pat, that was in Austin.
They play very difficult. They're very difficult to play in Austin as well. Another surprise.
Having a difficult game. Texas Tech was beaten by a field goal last week when they played Texas. Washington, by the way, on this penalty is their first of the game. That's another indication how Don James's coaching comes in. When they have critical games, they just don't make those mistakes in any area.
Very disciplined football team. Reminds me an awful lot of Chuck Knox, who's also up in Seattle.
So this time, kicking off from the 35 will be Jaeger. And there'll be a return on this one by Elbert Watts. Watts, knocked down at the 28-yard line. A 26-yard return. Alan James over to make the tackle. Next week, CBS will have a doubleheader. Michigan, Ohio State in, waiting for the outcome of that Iowa game, making that game even bigger and bigger. And then USC will travel to the Rose Bowl against UCLA. And then on Thanksgiving Friday, we talked about Kozar, we talked about Flutie. They'll be together on the 23rd. And then we're going to start our basketball. Bobby Knight against Denny Crum. Two excellent basketball programs. Did you get all that down?
Boy, I'll tell you, we got a lot of football coming up, don't we?
And basketball. Green deflected, almost picked off by Meamber, number 42, and he is discussing the situation with the turf.
Ted Tolner has to be careful here because this USC team is not a great catch-up football team. There's a minute 45 left in the first half. They have 3 timeouts. They have to be very careful with Tim Green, this emotional leader, throwing the ball downfield and coming up with an interception. This is what Washington does so well. Gets you in these kinds of situations, picks off a ball, is opportunistic, turns the turnover into 6 points.
How many films have we watched where deflections? That seems to be the way they pick off so many of those. And there was an example of another near miss. Meamber has 4 interceptions this year. Second down, 10. Crutcher trying to go wide, and it's just not going to go. Ron Holmes was over there. Ron Holmes, he'll be a #1 draft pick. He's 6'4". He weighs now about 265. He's had trouble with weight because he has some problems with diabetes. It'll be 3rd down. Still virtually 10 yards to go from the 30.
And if USC does not convert here, Washington has 3 timeouts remaining as well, so they can use the field to get a pretty good field position.
Crutcher, the lone running back behind Green on this 3rd down. Complete. Catch is made by Norman, and that'll be a 1st down. Out across the 42 to the 43, a 14-yard completion.
The USC should call a timeout here. They have 3 of them remaining. It's a big 3rd and 10 situation. Hank Norman, now he is 6'4". Ron Milas is only 5'9", and he scoots behind him because Milas is a little bit short. Tim Green is able to loft the ball over Milas' head in front of the safety, allows it to get to the big, tall Hank Norman.
J.C. Pearson made the tackle. 1st down, just short of the 45. 48 seconds left in the first half. This time Cormier, did he get out of bounds?
He should have.
Well, he didn't, did he?
No, he did not.
Fred Small was over there, and with an 8-yard pickup on the play, the clock with 37 seconds, and USC asked for a timeout.
Poor time management, really, by USC here. They should have used a timeout earlier, and he should have gotten out of bounds.
Okay, USC, Washington are 2 schools represented. Let's take a visit now to their respective campuses. 37 seconds left. USC has 2 timeouts. They'd like to get to about the 35 to get within the range of Steve Jordan.
And USC does have 2 timeouts remaining. They have to use those well, allow Jordan that opportunity.
They're right now at the 48. They need to get to the 35 at least. Green, had that been caught, they'd have been at the 38-yard line, but Tanner had to come back to the ball, could not. Bestie Jackson defending on the play. Stops the clock with 34 seconds.
Of course, the Washington defensive secondary is thinking similarly as we've just discussed. They know they're trying to protect the deep outside and also trying to prevent them from getting it within the 35-yard line. Now, Randy Tanner was wide open, would have caught the ball had it been well thrown, but Tim Green got a little bit of pressure and threw it off his back foot and was low.
3rd down. Actually 2 yards to go, but more importantly with 34 seconds left. This pass, and going out of bounds is Cormier. It looks like he got enough for the 1st down, and he stopped the clock. It is a 1st down. Fred Small over to make the stop, and that's where a big target comes in handy.
And Joe Cormier knew exactly how far he had to go to get the 1st down. It was needed 2 yards, a pretty good rush by Washington. The short, safe pass to the outside allowed Cormier not only to pick up the 1st down, but to be able to get out of bounds without using another timeout.
Ted Tolmer has a history of outstanding offenses. Remember at BYU, he was there, San Diego State. John Robinson hired him here as his offensive coordinator. 1st down from the 45. Green with Holmes coming after him. He got rid of it. Norman, the intended receiver at the 25. Ron Holmes made Tim Green throw that ball just a second too soon.
And that is the reason why Washington has forced so many interceptions there. There's number 90 right there in the middle of your screen. You see he beats number 79, Briegel. And there is the stretch, the pressure on Tim Green, Hank Norman, all 6'4" of them, but not quite enough.
Stops the clock with 24 seconds. 2 timeouts left from the 45. 2nd and 10. At halftime, Pat O'Brien with documentation on all those big upsets we've had back in the East. Green back again. Protection breaking down, and he's sacked back at the 46 by Reggie Rogers. Reggie Rogers is the banger in basketball. He's their big physical guy, so why not play football? Let's bring that ability across into another sport.
He does pretty well in football, too. The pressure of the #1 defense in the land, and here's you see why. This is a critical situation. They're trying to keep their lead going into halftime, and what do? They come with just about everybody. Reggie Rogers along with Fred Small, number 5. Nowhere for Tim Green to go. However, Tim Green might have been smart to throw that ball out of bounds and give himself another chance.
Well, they used the timeout. They have one left, and the Miami Dolphins. What do you think, Pat? Are they as good as that other unbeaten team?
It's pretty tough to go undefeated. I think after the season we can talk about that.
Well, that'll be documented tomorrow. Also, a profile on Jim Hannafin of the Cardinals, who's done so very, very well. There'll be an NFL Today show starting it all, and then the doubleheader, and some big games, especially in that NFC East. You have one timeout left, Pat, and you have quarterbacked these Trojan teams a few times yourself. What are you going to do here?
Well, the biggest situation is they have to move the ball all the way down, to about the 35-yard line. They need, 15 or 20 yards to get them in a position for Steve Jordan to have a chance. So it has to be something downfield and perhaps outside.
Pat, you were a quarterback here at USC, and we just wanted to go back and kind of capture some of those moments.
Oh, my.
There he is. A little hippie there in his earlier time.
Yeah,
number 10. Have they retired that number yet?
Goodness gracious. Look, don't have quite as much hair. You know what? There I am. You know what? I must be getting taller. I'm going right through my hair. Growing right through it.
Here we go. 3rd down and 19. Completion. Beautiful catch by Timmy Ware. Did he get the first down?
No, it looks like he's a little bit short of the first down.
He is, and USC's going to ask for their final timeout.
We said earlier that Tim Green had the ability to drive the football down the field. Here is an excellent example of that. A moment ago, he tried to throw to Hank Norman, driving the ball downfield. You saw Hank Norman dive out. This time, he comes to Timmy Ware, number 19. You're going to see him stretch out and sacrifice his body a little bit. The Washington defense playing secure and safe. It allowed a little bit of a gap there for Timmy Ware, number 19, to catch the ball. A fine catch and a fine throw by Green.
Little symbolism there. Who's going to get the Rose Bowl? Well, right now, Jordan's going to attempt a field goal there at the 36. That's about where we thought they'd have to get it for Jordan to have a shot at it. And this will be a 53-yarder, which would match his best of the season. He kicked a 53-yarder against Washington State. Thus far, 2 of 2 in this game. He's hit one from 51 and one 47.
Remember, Washington has been very good at blocking punts and kicks all season long.
Jordan is one of those guys, Pat, that impressed me. You know, they always talk about field goal kickers, very honestly, being flaky. He's not. He's one of the guys.
He's solid. He's a solid guy. Unusual.
Here we go. 53 yards away. 4 seconds left in the first half. No good. Jordan misses on his 3rd attempt, and we have come to the close of this first half of play. Ted Tollner and USC trailing by 1, 7-6. Top-ranked Washington wanting to return to the Rose Bowl for the first time since '82. We'll return after this commercial break and a word from your local station. The battle for the Rose Bowl has come to the midway point, and Washington leads USC 7-6. And Pat Hayden, it's definitely been a battle for field position.
Well, we said at the top of the show, field position was so critical. Troy Richardson USC's punter, has really kept them backed up all afternoon. And we're going to take a look at an example of what Troy Richardson has done to this Washington team. There's Ron Milas. Now, he's the punt returner for Washington. Actually, they've been 4 punts that have bounced in front of Milas. He's allowed them to bounce in front of him, and this is the kind of roll that you have seen in giving Washington really terrible field position.
Due to those rolls, Richardson in the first half averaged 43.8. Had they fielded him with a fair catch, it would have been a 32-yard average.
Well, I think that's the thing. Milas is going to have to step up and fair catch those balls.
Well, what really turned it around was then the special teams of Washington. And Thane Cleland, he brought him back and did a great job with this punt.
Well, he did this last week, too. A very high punt allowed the Washington coverage to get down and behind the ball. There's Tom Garth, number 68, who's able to down the ball inside the 5-yard line. This led to the touchdown. Don James' team is an opportunistic team. They seized the best field position of the day. They were allowed to spring Jock Robinson off to the outside. And the key here, Gary, was the offensive line play of Washington. They had a good surge up front. Jock Robinson picked up a nice block by Walt Hunt, number 45, as fullback. That allowed Robinson to bounce outside.
Well, is it going to change in the second half? Still a battle of field position?
Absolutely. And again, Troy Richardson is the story, and Ron Milas is the story. Will he come up and field the punts? Well, he bounces. Richardson bounces punts to 30 or 40 more yards.
Imagine Milas will come up and field him if Don James has anything to say about it. Echoes of college football. Lindsey Nelson talks about a man by the name of Grantland Rice. The Rose Bowl at stake, the second half underway, and Jeff Jager kicks that one into the end zone, and the Trojans will start from their own 20-yard line, trailing 7-6. In that first half, the turnovers won, and that's the thing that Washington's lived on, is turning the ball over.
You're absolutely right. That's one of the reasons they've only had 7 points here in the first half. Pretty even game. Really has been field position. Total yards almost exactly the same. Field position has been the key. Don James' team seized his one opportunity where he had decent field position and put the ball in the end zone.
You get the feeling they're waiting for somebody to break.
You know, that's exactly right. They're waiting. They're like buzzards out there, waiting for something to happen.
At the 20-yard line, Green gives to Crutcher. Crutcher is across the 25 to the 26. Pick up of 6 yards. Reggie Rogers over to make the stop. Let's update the scoring. There hasn't been all that much, but Steve Jordan with a 51-yard field goal, second longest of the year for him. Then he came back to add another 47-yarder with 9 minutes left in the second quarter. And then we showed you at halftime Jock Robinson scoring. Jager's point after made it 7-6. And this game, it's for who will be in Pasadena, January 1st. From the 26, 2nd and 4. Cormier in motion. Crutcher again. Oh, was he belted this time. Ron Holmes, who had in the first half 6 tackles and 2 deflected passes, led that charge, along with Joe Krakowski.
I tell you what, there was still a lot of intensity out there. They just came out after halftime resting for 20 minutes, and they look well rested because Fred Crutcher looked like he was going to get a little bit of a hole. But there's Ron Holmes, number 90, and Krakowski, 56. They're really stuffing up the hole. Nowhere to go. Ron Holmes has played beautifully here in the first half and early in the third quarter.
The best ever they possibly have ever had at Washington. A true impact player. 3rd down now and 4. Crutcher again, and he's going to be close. Trying to struggle for it, and I think his second effort got him the first down. He did. To the 31. Kelly and Lewis made the stop, and that was just sheer determination by number 49.
And that is characteristic of the tailbacks at USC. The game is won up here in the trenches for the Rose Bowl. Everybody knows what's at stake. There is a great deal at stake, and here is one reason Fred Crutcher realizes that to get to Pasadena on January 1st, he has to pick up 4 yards on 3rd down, and he does that.
From the years of 72 to 81, every USC tailback gained 1,000 yards. And Crutcher has a chance to get there this year.
He had 860 yards coming into the football game.
A couple of years, White and Allen went over 2,000 yards. 3rd down, first down rather, from the 31. Here comes Crutcher again, and the angle was there, and Washington was there, and they stopped him for no gain. Jim Rogers and Reggie Rogers.
Every series in each half, the first series of each half, I should say, is the most critical in my mind. It really sets the tenor of the entire half. Here we've seen this Washington defense actually been unbelievably aggressive here in the second half, although USC picked up that first down. What USC needs to do, even if they don't score, is pick up a first down or 2, punt the ball, back Washington up.
Crutcher now leaves after carrying on 5 straight plays. Ryan Knight replaces him. Second down, virtually 10 to go. Norman, that is a fine catch. The 49, first down. J.C. Pearson with the tackle, 17-yard pickup.
It's been a nice drive, a mixed drive by USC here in the second half. They've run the ball, Fred Crutcher, what you said, 5 straight times. Then they come back and find Hank Norman, number 83, on an in route. The pressure that this Washington defense can apply. Number 5, Fred Small. He is so quick. He's got those great hips. He shakes and bakes. He makes people miss, and it gets around the quarterback an awful lot.
He shakes and bakes.
He shakes and bakes. That's my man, Fred Small.
10 of 21 now is Green for 115 yards. He does have the 1 interception. Give to Ryan Knight. Knight able to back across the 50 to the 49. Small and Pearson over to make the stop. Fred Small comes from the Los Angeles area, Fremont High School, and his high school teammate was David Fulcher, the outstanding safety at Arizona State.
Boy, I bet you that defense in high school didn't give up many points either, did they? You know, you look at Fred Small, I talked with him yesterday. These Washington players, it used to be actually at SC, you felt that you deserved to go to the Rose Bowl. Now that attitude has really changed in the Pac-10. UCLA and Washington have kind of dominated the Pac-10 for the last few years. So that's why this game is even a little bit more interesting. USC is trying to get back to where they once were.
Second down, a long 7. Green setting up, belted from behind, and hit hard that time. Intended receiver just didn't have a chance. That was Boyer. Holmes was the guy that hit him from behind, and number 90, you're going to have to register that number. It's been all over.
Gary, it's been a year of linebackers, good linebackers. We've seen them all over the country. Today we're looking at Fred Small and Tid Meamber of Washington. They've had a big first half. Earlier in the third quarter, Fred Small has been a factor. And USC has had some pretty good linebackers, too, over the years. And today we've had a look at Jack Del Rio and Dwayne Bickett, although they were a little bit quiet there in the first half. We didn't hear much from Del Rio and Bickett.
Well, Bickett had 2 solos in the first half, and Del Rio 3 assists. Third down and 7. Pressure put on again, and Green had to get rid of it. Joe Cormier, the intended receiver. And Green is hot. He wants some protection. He's not getting it.
Well, this is the one thing that Ted Tolner's concerned about. He's a little bit high-strung. I personally don't like to see that in a quarterback. It can get you into a little bit of trouble. So you like to have emotional leaders on the team, but a quarterback has to be a little bit more reserved. He's upset because there's instant pressure, too much pressure for Tim Green. He thought he had a man open, but didn't have an opportunity to throw it, and he lets his displeasure be known.
That was Albert who was putting the pressure on. Troy Richardson to punt the ball. Milas back. Let's see if he'll fair catch this one. It's kicked away from him. Going to hit, and this time does not take a USC bounce. Going to be ruled out of bounds across the 25 to the 26-yard line. That punt was only 22 yards in Washington with good field position. Pat Morris, the offensive line coach, is walking by there after visiting with an offensive line. Washington now with good field position across their own 25 to the 26. Cicero pitching to Jock Robinson. And the Cardinal in gold led by Tim McDonald over there to make the stop.
The Washington tight end, Tony Roten, has done a nice job on Dwayne Bickett, number 80 from USC. We expected Dwayne Bickett to be a major factor here in the game, but he has been blocked well. Actually, it's 84, Rod Jones, the second tight end now, who does a nice job of blocking Bickett there. Allows Jock Robinson to get to the outside of the pitch play.
Picked up 1 yard. Bickett, 6'5", and talking to some of the pro scouts, no question he'll go in the first round. Back to throw, Cicero, wide open this time. Catch by Danny Green, first down across the 45 to the 47. McDonald and Hopper on the tackle, a 19-yard pickup.
You know, you don't see Danny Green catch many balls, but every ball he catches seems to be one downfield, a big catch, a major catch. The nice thing about this throw by Paul Cicero, it is right on time. Just as Danny Green is turning around, the ball is delivered by Cicero. It did not allow the USC defense to be able to react and knock the play down.
Green, 3 catches, 60 yards. Last year he had a 71-yard touchdown on a punt.
Well, they've been tough in the third quarter.
Tremble goes in motion. Pitch to Robinson. Check that. Cookie Jackson is in, a tailback. And Cookie Jackson across the 50 to the 46-yard line. Tony Colorado making a stop. out of Brooklyn, New York.
It looks like there have been some adjustments by Washington here at halftime. In the first half, we saw Washington throw the ball a lot on first down. Remember, we talked about that. They weren't quite in rhythm. Here in the second half of this drive here, they've run the ball on first down and picked up some nice yardage, a different rhythm to the offensive game plan of Washington here in the third quarter.
Cookie Jackson with a 6-yard run. It'll be second down 4. 2 receivers split to the top. In motion, just broke from the tight end. Give to Cookie Jackson. Jackson very close to the first down as he crosses the 45. Neil Hope 54 and Tommy Haynes make the tackle. It's going to be third down and about a yard to go? About a yard to go. Jackson's coming off of a strong game. He had 119 yards last week, and he had a 66-yard touchdown run, the longest of the year for the Huskies.
They got a lot of production out of both their tailbacks. You mentioned Robinson had the big game last week as well. Had, 350 yards rushing, I believe. Only 1 of 8. They have not been good. Mostly they've been long third down situations.
Straight ahead, Jock Robinson, who checked in, and he has a first down for the Huskies. Keith Biggers and Colorito make the stop again.
A little earlier, we saw the block on Dwayne Bick, and here's a block on Jack Del Rio, the other outstanding outside linebacker. Again, 84 is Rod Jones. Comes to the inside. He is trapped by Tim Burnham, number 78, the right guard, and really was not in the play again. It's not good scheme. They're really running away from Bickett and Del Rio, and when they're running to them, they blocked them well. They're trapping them, and they're man blocking them.
First down at the 8:49 mark of the third quarter. Jock Robinson inside the 40 to the 38-yard line. Brian Luff, number 90, in on the tackle.
You know, Don James is a master with a lead. Here he is with a 7-6 lead. He is going to make you bleed. This is his kind of game now, because now he's in field goal position. I don't expect to see Don James to take too many chances, run the football, and if he can't get the ball in the end zone, he gives Jaeger, his field goal kicker, an opportunity to put his team up by 4.
Jaeger, just one of many, many fine field goal kickers in the Pac-10. They are loaded with good ones this year. Second down and 7. Cicero wanting to throw, far side, complete to Green. Green to the 35 and thrown backwards by Darrell Hopper. Gain of 4 on the play. South Carolina was going unbeaten at home against Florida State, and they may continue unbeaten.
Well, they're in the picture, obviously, for a major bowl bid on January 1st.
Florida State last week scored 55 points against Arizona State, and they've gotten 7 today. Figure that one out. Third down, 4. And Cicero is going to be sacked. Biggers was the first to get there, number 17, and Ted Toner likes what he sees. First sack of the game by the Trojans.
A surprising call to me, Gary. Again, knowing Don James and his philosophy there, they took themselves out of field goal position with the sack. I expected to see some sort of run here, but they decided to throw the ball. Instant pressure. There's the sack. There's no field goal attempt now. Cleveland, the punter's on the field.
Cleveland will punt from his own 40. 12-yard loss on that sack. That's a good point, Pat. You were just talking about how conservative they were going to be. Fair catch is being called for by Hopper just across the 20-yard line. USC will have the football. 25-yard punt. I think this guy lost his way to the forum. The owner of the Los Angeles Lakers, Jerry Buss. Football fan as well as a basketball fan.
Used to teach here at Southern Cal. Did you know that?
No.
He did.
From the 20-yard line, pitch back to Ryan Knight. Knight out to the 23. Reggie Rogers made the tackle. The Southwest Conference story. Let's get it now in New York from Pat O'Brien.
All right, Gary, thank you. We told you earlier that Houston has beaten Texas 29-15 in a final score, and Texas Tech and TCU, it is now in the fourth quarter. It's 27-16. Let's look at the conference standings now. Each with 1 loss. If TCU holds on, they would play. Now it's now a final, by the way. They will play next week for the inside track to the Cotton Bowl. Let's go back to you, Gary and Pat.
The Horned Frogs are continuing to impress. Here's Ryan Knight on a second down and 7. Out across the 25, Tony Lewis and Joe Krakowski combining on the stop. So we come to a third down. Third down and still about 3 yards to go.
the importance of the third down situations. Remember at the top of the show, we said we're going to see a lot of 3rd and 2s. Here we see, well, 3rd and 3 situation here. Remember early in the game, Tim Green had Cormier, the tight end, the second tight end, wide open in a situation like this, but he dropped the ball.
3rd down 4 is the exact distance on this play. Cormier in motion. Green on the roll. Broken up beautifully at the last moment by J.C. Pearson. That looked like it was headed for a big gainer.
Speed on defense can make up for a lot of mistakes and lost ground, and you're going to see a great example of it here as we get a little play-action pass on 3rd and 4, and Tim Green is trying to go downfield to J.C. Pearson, number 4, the very quick defensive back for Washington. See, Hank Norman's open, but that speed can be a great difference maker, make up a lot of lost ground.
We have a different punter. Paul Green, number 45, has come in for USC. He's a freshman out of Fresno. So Troy Richardson, after the last effort, has been momentarily benched. And here comes Green. Big rush. He hit it wobbly. Milas lets it hit. He's got to get out of the way of it. It's taking a roll, and USC gets a break. It's going inside the 30 to the 29-yard line. 44-yard punt. The importance of this game, a guy who is playing in this contest, who's followed USC through the years, he puts it into perspective.
You might not know, but I'm from Pasadena. Every New Year's Day when I was small, I would go down to the Rose Bowl parade, and I would, I used to think that the Trojans used to automatically go there. I would always see the band marching and everything, but as I got here, I knew it takes a little work to get there, so it's going to be a big thrill if we can make it there.
That was a 14-yard roll on that punt by Green as they continue to get some very good rolls. At the 29-yard line, Cicero rolling out, gets a block, and throws complete to Danny Green. I didn't know who his intended receiver was there for a moment, did you?
I'm not sure he was certain either, but he'll take it, believe me.
20-yard completion. Jerome Tyler made the tackle. Green now has 5 catches for 85 yards.
Take another look at Cicero. Remember early in the first half, he was getting a lot of pressure. One way is to get away from the pressure is to roll your quarterback out. And you're right, I thought he was throwing to the fullback right here. It goes over his head, Hunts. And there's Danny Green, number 80. He's in the right place at the right time.
Pitch back. Cookie Jackson. Jackson gets an opening, and he's to the 40-yard line. Tyler over to make the stop. 12 yards, another first down.
Washington is mixing it up a little bit better now here than they did in the first half. Got a couple of passes downfield. Ron Holmes, to take a look at him, what a great first half he had. But Washington really is mixing the plays up here while they're running Jock Robinson off tackle, wide side of the field. And we've seen, of course, Danny Green go downfield for a couple of big catches. Good play selection by the Huskies.
Ron Holmes says, I dream about playing in the Rose Bowl. Right now, his team with a 1-point lead. First down from the 40. Jackson again. Pretty good depth when you can take Robinson out of there and then come back with Cookie Jackson. Both of them veterans, both seniors. Keith Biggers made the stop. Second down and 6 yards to go.
2nd and 6 in a very tight ball game. The Rose Bowl on the line. Here again, I'm surprised to see, I'm expecting to see Don James become a little bit conservative, get Jeff Jaeger an opportunity to kick a field goal.
Green and Patterson split to the top of the screen. Just Roten, the tight end, moving around. Pitch to Jackson. Jackson bouncing out. Very resourceful run inside the 35-yard line to the 33. Tim McDonald, number 6, making the stop. It's going to be 3rd down and 2 now for the Huskies.
Good offensive scheme as we look at number 52, Jack Del Rio. They ran an unbalanced line to the top of the screen, then they ran to the unbalanced position. Jack Del Rio, number 52, was blocked well there by Tony Roten, the tight end. Allowed Cookie Jackson to bounce outside, but Washington is mixing it up right now very well.
3rd and 2, Cicero. Wide open and dropped by Patterson. We were talking about him making the tough catches. Well, that was an easy catch.
But there's way too much cushion there given by number 3, Dwayne Jackson. When it's 3rd and 2, you can't allow a receiver this much room. Again, 3rd and 2 is the situation. Cicero gets to the corner. Patterson is wide open. A huge cushion for him. Sometimes when you're that wide open, you're thinking about turning back upfield. The next thing you know, the ball drops out of your hands.
Drops like that will keep you out of Pasadena. They're going to have to settle for a field goal, and this will be a 49-yard attempt. Jaeger has hit 19 of them this year. It's got enough distance, but it's no good. And so USC, after having Washington march into their end of the field twice, have been able to stymie him. Once with a sack, and now with the missed field goal. A moment ago, they would have had a first down had this ball been caught by Mark Pattison from Paul Sicaro.
Well, you say Pattison makes the tough catches. Here it was a 3rd and 2 situation. Let's remember what is at stake here. They're in field goal range, actually scoring position. But it's a 3rd and 2 situation. The Rose Bowl's on the line. Those kind of plays can keep you out of the Rose Bowl on January 1st. Let's keep that in mind as this game goes along, Gary, and see how it plays.
Well, Jaeger then had to attempt a 49-yard field goal, which is 2 yards further than his longest this year.
Yeah, interesting. He was, what, a couple yards short because, again, the drop pass.
Norman and Ware, the wide receivers for USC, as they have the football at the 31-yard line. 7-6, Washington with the lead. Green, wide open is Timmy Ware, and Ware to the 45, a 23-yard completion. And the speed burner, the speed merchant on this team, gets it to Washington's end of the field. Next week, we'll see these same Trojans go against crosstown rival UCLA. And now Michigan and Ohio State. And Ohio State, with that win, if they could defeat Michigan, will be in Pasadena January 1st.
Well, we didn't expect that to happen a couple of weeks ago, did we?
Nope. Iowa was beaten up in the game they played Michigan State, but they couldn't do it. And by the way, that last pass completion was the longest gain of the day for USC. Green back. I don't know where that was headed, but it was not headed towards the man he wanted it to be. Intended receiver was Norman. Incomplete. Keith Byers, as a junior, has been nothing short of sensational today. 151 yards.
Well, remember we saw him against Illinois. He was spectacular. Incredibly versatile. He did 151 yards in 3 quarters today. But not only does he run the ball so well as we know, but he's an excellent pass receiver. 12
o'clock next week here on CBS, and that is the other half of the battle for the Rose Bowl. 2nd down 10 from the 45. 3 minutes, 39 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. Green, that's Ware again, and Timmy Ware has a first down catch at the 34. Bestie Jackson over there, a 12-yard completion, and the veteran Ware now, 2 back-to-back catches.
Tim Green does not have a reputation as being a great audibleizer, but this time he did audible. He saw a little safe pass out there to number 19, Timmy Ware. Watch all the cushion that Timmy Ware is going to have. There was a blitz on. That means the defensive quarterback played very soft. Tim Green called the right audible, and those are the kind of audibles that are going to get a team in a Rose Bowl.
12 of 27, 149 yards for Green, 1 interception. Ware, who runs on the USC track team, using that speed, a good advantage. Here's a give to Crutcher. He cuts against the grain to the 30-yard line. Picked up before Tim the Amber, and here is Jordan, who's kicked 2 of 3 today.
And they're well within his range. Ted Culliner felt very comfortable sending Steve Jordan in, from the 35-yard line in.
Gain of 5 on that last play. It's going to be 2nd down 5 from the 30. Moeller, Crutcher in the backfield. That's Cormier in motion. Hand off to Crutcher. Crutcher will be a couple of yards short of the first down. Getting close to the 26-yard line. Jim Rogers, and Tony Lewis make the stop. Well, some of the games down the West getting underway, and UCLA, who was upset last week by Oregon playing in the Rose Bowl and winning. Arizona State leading Oregon. Utah over Utah State in that interstate battle. 3rd down 2. And we have some movement on the line. Figure this one out.
No, I think
Patrick.
I think what happened to Tim Green there is he had a quick count and he decided to start directing some traffic out there, and James Fitzpatrick thought the ball was going to be snapped, and boom, he got a penalty.
Dead ball, false start, offense, still 3rd down.
It's only the 4th penalty of this game. I think it shows how well coached these two teams have been in a pressure game.
But boy, it changes the complexion of this 3rd down. It goes from 3rd and 2 to 3rd and 7.
Crutcher and Pola again on a 3rd down and 7 in the backfield behind Green. Green this time to throw. It's got Hank Norman. 1st down, 12-yard pickup on the play.
Southern Cal has mixed it up well as we watch number 83 Hank Norman by allowing Tim Green to get outside the containment this time and buy himself a little bit more time, and allowed Hank Norman, who was getting pretty good man-for-man coverage, a little bit of extra time to bump off the defensive back and find a little dead spot in the territory there for Green to hit him.
Now USC is going to use a timeout. They have to have a timeout here at the 20-yard line with 1:54 left in the 3rd quarter. Toller, I don't think, wanted that timeout, if that picture means anything. We'll be back. USC called a timeout. We taped during that timeout what Ted Tollner had to say to his quarterback.
You've got to be you got to be the guy. And the worst thing that can happen is to lose the water there. Is to lose field position. I mean, if we don't protect, trying to get the ball up quick. Go to the sack. Yeah, the sack is what will hurt you.
He's telling Tim Green there to get rid of the football, don't take a sack, and take their field goal kicker out of position. But it was a surprising timeout call by Tim Green. He's wasted some this year, and that may come back to haunt him a little later on in the game today.
1st down at the 20. 7-6, Washington with the lead. Green, fullback Pola, and he is straightened up. That is the kind of football Washington's played all year long. No gain on the play. That was Krakowski, number 56, that met him in the hole.
The fullback of USC fooled everybody but number 56, Joe Krakowski. Now, somebody is supposed to be blocking him. That is why Joe Krakowski was not fooled, but he was right there in the hole to meet Kennedy Pola. Now, what happened there, either the right guard there or the center should have come off and blocked the linebacker, Krakowski.
Should have, could have, didn't.
You're right, he didn't.
Krakowski's the same as the starter. They use 4 linebackers all the time. Here comes Crutcher. Crutcher inside the 15. He'll make it close to the 13. Reggie Rogers dropped him. Pickup of 6 on the play.
Well, it's 3rd and 2 or 3 now, Gary. A very important call here for Ted Tollner. Does he risk a emotional quarterback an opportunity to throw the football here, or does he pound Crutcher off tackle like he has in a couple of other 3rd and 3 situations?
It's going to actually be closer to 4, Pat. 3rd down 4 at about the 14-yard line.
They've run Crutcher before in these situations.
James Lewis comes running in at defensive tackle. Give to Crutcher, and Crutcher has it 1st and goal.
USC has been very successful running to their weak side over James Fitzpatrick. Fred Crutcher, for the 2nd time today, comes up with a big 3rd down 4 conversion on a run. Again, it was a nice hole for Crutcher, but again, you saw some of the intensity, some of the desire to be there January 1st on Fred Crutcher's part.
Pola threw an excellent block on Ron Holmes, and that's typical of USC fullbacks.
You have to block to be able to play that position.
1st and goal at the 5. Green, the Crutcher. It'll be 2nd and goal from the 3.
I'll tell you what, this Washington defense, this is no gimme touchdown for USC by any means. It's a very tough defense anywhere on the field, but particularly inside the 5-yard line.
And that's going to be the end of the 3rd quarter. They're going to have to go to the other end to decide the issue. The issue is the Rose Bowl. And right now, Washington is leading 7-6. At USC, they're close. Minutes left in this game. The winner moving to the Rose Bowl. As we come into the 4th quarter, USC has a 2nd down goal at the 2.5-yard line. And Pat, coming into this game, while Washington could settle for a tie, USC has to play to win.
Well, they do, and they might go for 2 points if they score the touchdown to go up by 7 here.
But the first has to be the touchdown as far as Ted Tollner is concerned. This is the 11th play on this drive. Green to Crutcher. Going to be 3rd and goal.
Boy, that's good defense. That is very good defense. Fred Crutcher really thought he was going to get into the end zone there. He thought he could cut back. He thought he had found a seam, but that seam closed very quickly.
Shaking his hand as though he might have injured it.
Let's take a look at it. Again, Fred Crutcher has very good eyes and vision. He saw something here. You're going to see him plant on his left foot. Whap, he thought he could cut back right there. But who was it? Number 12, Ron Milas. There was put the stop on Crutcher.
He might be the smallest man defensively. He's 5'10", 170. No gain on that play. 3rd and goal. Crutcher again. Touchdown. Jordan, point after attempt. Kick is good. 68-yard drive. 12 plays, taking almost 5 minutes.
The USC tailbacks, Gary, over the years have run their sweep play for a lot of big plays. I don't know how many were bigger than this one. This is just USC sweep play. Fred Crutcher decided he was going to get in the end zone, and that's exactly what he did. But it was a big, big drive. We saw some big runs by Fred Crutcher. It was a time-consuming drive. It kept Washington's offense off the field. Fred Crutcher picking up a couple of big first downs with 3rd and 4-yard runs. And Tim Green coming up with the big passes and a big audible.
And Ted Toner, that may be the whole season for him. That one play. Trying to get USC football back to that championship caliber of the 70s. Wanted to make it happen in the decade of the 80s, and right now his team has the lead. And one thing I want to develop, and we touched on it quickly, is why USC could actually have to go for the win and Washington the tie. It is because of points. And this year, USC lost to LSU, non-conference. As an end result, if next week both teams would win after a tie today, that would mean that Washington would go to the Rose Bowl.
USC definitely has to win.
The kickoff, Lonzel Hill. Trying to go wide, and he's not going to get there, and this is a fired-up Trojan team. Martin French down to make the stop. 13-7 USC with a lead. Let's go back to New York.
All right, Gary, I want to catch you up today on some independent teams, how they did today. Some upsets. South Carolina continues to roll over Florida State 31-7 in the 3rd quarter. Maryland shocked Miami 42-40. They were down 31-0. Boston College over Army 45-31. And Rutgers upset the Mountaineers 23-19. Those are the independents. Let's go back to Gary and Pat.
Well, Pat, we have another upset in the making here. 13-7, 14:07 left in the game. Hunt, Robinson, the running back, Cicero to throw. And he overthrew Walt Hunt, his fullback. Pressure was put on by Neil Hope, and Hope is getting up slowly. He is shaken up at the 5-yard line.
Look at Tim Green. Has really surprised me today. He's played very well. He's saying hello to his mother. We should give awards for guys who don't say hello to the mother, but Tim Green has done a nice job. He's played well in the 1st quarter when we expected him to come along slowly. He's come up with some big plays. Remember that big audible. But the interesting thing, I think, Gary, remember that drop pass by Pattison? That's right. Forced the punt by Washington, set up the long drive for USC.
As an end result, the top-ranked team in the country is trailing. We'll be back. Don James' team is 9-0, but right now they trail 13-7. They have a 2nd down 10 from their own 14-yard line. 14 minutes left in the game. Cicero pitching back to Jock Robinson. He comes through the initial charge up across the 20 to the 21, a gain of 7. It'll be 3rd down now, 3 yards to go. Now Neil Hope was shaken up, but he went running off the field, and you can see he's getting ready to come right back into the game.
Let's remember, too, that Washington has not played from behind much of this year, too, Gary. This is a different position than this Washington offense has really had been in all year. They have not had to win football games. Their defense has won games for them.
They have their speed team in defensively. They being USC. Cicero back on a third down. Broken up. Two defenders going up against Lonzo Hill. Jerome Tyler was there, and Washington will have to punt the football. There's Tyler. They always say he's so consistent.
Take a look at Lonzo Hill, number 1. Now, this was a kind of a poor decision by Paul Cicero because there were 3 defenders, USC defenders around Hill. The ball is up in the air. Again, pressure was on Cicero that made him throw the ball a little bit high, but 3 red jerseys around the receiver.
Cleveland will punt the ball. He hit it well. Hopper goes back, has it inside the 40, and he brings it to the 49-yard line. So the Trojans with excellent field position. 42-yard punt, a 12-yard return. Kirkpatrick making the stop. Tim Green with the lead and with the football. It's interesting, isn't it, Pat? You can play all season long, be 9-0, and still got to win one more to get what you want accomplished.
And they were shooting, too, for their, not only the Rose Bowl, but the first national championship in Washington history.
Here comes Ryan Knight. Knight close to the 45. Tim Neamber making a stop. A pickup of 4, 2nd and 6.
The way this USC defense is playing, I don't expect to see the USC offense take too many chances here. If they want to get Steve Jordan and it's an opportunity to kick a field goal and maybe go up 16-7.
Saw that Nebraska win. They might take over number 1 if this thing continues the way it is here. Nebraska's only loss coming early in the year against Syracuse.
Nebraska is so well balanced too, Gary. That's what I like about it. They play offense and defense.
We have a holdup of action here. Tim Neamber had to get a new chin strap. There he is. As intense as he is, I'm surprised he noticed it was wrong. LSU over Alabama. Alabama was leading in that game. So the Crimson Tide will not have a winning year. Ohio State scored, what, 51 points last week, I think, against Indiana. 2nd down and 6. Ryan Knight, the freshman, close to a first down. Joe Krakowski made the tackle.
The success that USC has had running the football, Gary, has been to their weak side. They've gone away from their strength. Normally you would think of USC running the pitch play to the tight end side, but today they've really been picking on the weak side of the Washington defense and running over their tackle, James Fitzpatrick.
3rd down, less than a yard to go. There's Flutie's record. I don't think there's going to be any records left after this year is over. Now, wait a minute, the officials. I think Neamber still doesn't have his equipment right. They're going to send him off. And Krakowski will come in for him. You know he doesn't want to come off the field. Tomorrow, what a battle we're having in the National Football League and especially in the NFC East. The NFL today starts at 12:30. The Dolphins, talking about that unbeaten team in 72. On a 3rd down and a short yard, USC gets a first down with Pola, the fullback. Albert made the tackle. Pola shaken up. There's the time left. That is what is between USC and the Rose Bowl.
Washington in an undefeated season, Gary. Perhaps a national championship. But here's where USC over the years have been so tough when they've got you in front, a lead in the 4th quarter where they can use that big offensive line, grind you down, give the ball to the tailback, and eat you up 3 and 4 yards at a time.
First down from the 40. Ryan Knight struggles for a couple of yards and slammed back. The ball loose, but blown dead. And now some pushing out there. Cormier and Fred Small going after each other. Joe Kelly was in on the tackle. They give him a 1-yard pickup on the play, 2nd and 9. Tim Green pointing to somebody on that defense. He better leave him alone.
You're right. Now, this is a big game. We've talked about it. And USC has not been in a big game like this for quite some time. And for the, well, one of the few times, Gary, I've actually heard this Coliseum crowd be enthused and be a factor. You know, Ted Towner has taken a lot of criticism over the last year. We talked about getting into that championship game, and he's done himself pretty well in his first championship game.
You could see Meamber returning to the lineup. 2nd down and 9. Crutcher inside the 35 to the 34. Bestie Jackson knocked him out of bounds. You understand the Gamecocks of the other USC have scored again.
Well, after last year, they called this USC the South Carolina of the West. They're a 4-6-1 season.
Can't say that now, though. Pat, I'm just curious, the emotions you're going through. You played in those Rose Bowls. You remember how excited you must have been as it came down to the end of the season?
Well, you're right. I played in 3 of them. You know, although I was delighted to play in all 3 of those, I kind of wish that everybody in the Pac-10 had a chance to go through that kind of feeling, because it is a very, very special moment.
USC with a 3rd and 4. They're close enough for Jordan in a field goal, as here is Crutcher, and I believe he has the first down. Let's see, maybe not. Just inside the 30. Tony Lewis made the stop. He did not get it. It's at the 30-yard line.
Well, this is the 3rd time in a row on 3rd and 4 situations that USC has given the ball to Fred Crutcher. The first 2 times he did not make it. He did make it. This time he did not. But Ted Tollner has decided to go for a field goal, which is the right decision at this time of the game, to put your team up. Oh, if he makes the field goal, 16-7, forces Washington to score twice.
Boy, could this make a difference, though, if they don't get this field goal. Looked like he might have the first down, a matter of a half yard, even less. And now Jordan will attempt the field goal. He is 2 of 3, and this kick from 46 yards away is good. Steve Jordan trying to kick the Trojans to Pasadena. They lead it 16-7. Looks as though Hugh Millen may be getting ready to come into the ball game.
Well, he has a little bigger arm than Cicero, and perhaps this is the kind of situation where you want to bring him in. Although Cicero has not played badly by any means.
Washington will have to score twice as they trail 16-7. They down it. It'll be out to the 20-yard line. Well, that Big Ten race changing moment by moment. Let's go to New York. Here's Pat O'Brien.
Thank you, Gary. Indeed it is. Here's what's happened today. Iowa was beaten by Michigan State 17-16. Purdue was beaten by Wisconsin 30-13. And Ohio State rolled over Northwestern. Here's the Big Ten picture now. Ohio State needs a win over Michigan next week to go to the Rose Bowl and win over the Big Ten. That's followed by a game USC at UCLA, a doubleheader on CBS. Back to you, Gary.
Thank you, Pat. Cicero is still the quarterback. They have not come in with Hugh Millen. Cicero back to throw. Wide open. Roten. He falls down at the 25 to pick up a 5. 2nd and 5 from that point as we have 9:24 left in the game.
There's still plenty of time here for Washington to get 2 scores on the board. The important thing is not to waste any possession. If they don't score a touchdown here, they must be in a position to kick a field goal, and they have a very good field goal kicker in Jeff Jager.
Kenny and Jock Robinson in the backfield. Cicero with time, and he threw it behind Finney. Finney caught it, but he only picked up a couple yards. They're still going to be 30 yards short of the first down. 3rd and 3.
You know, Paul Cicero has been a little bit behind all afternoon. You can see some of the frustration in his face. He had Finney open there for a big play. If he just dumped him the ball, he is so conscious of doing what he is supposed to be doing and doing it correctly. He is aiming his passes, and that's why he's been a little bit behind today.
3rd and 3 today. Washington's converted only 17% of them for the year, 36. Cicero. That'll be enough for the first down. Catch made by Finney, the tackle by Dwayne Jackson, and the Huskies are still alive.
And the key there was tremendous pass protection for Paul Cicero. It allowed him to find his 3rd receiver, and that was Rick Finney, his fullback, who slipped out of the backfield. Watch the protection that Paul Cicero gets. He first wants to go to his left, and he can't really find anybody there. So he's going to step up into the pocket, and then he finally looks way over to the right and finds Rick Finney for the first down, a big first down. 6-yard
completion, back to throw, Cicero again, and he wants to go for all of it, and his receiver fell down. It's intercepted by McDonald. Patterson fell down on the play. Here comes McDonald to the 45.
Washington offense over the years has been an offense that has not turned the ball over much, particularly not in critical situations. But remember, Gary, the Washington offense has not had to win any football games this year. They have not really had to bring their team from behind much. Their defense has won football games. Their offense is in a completely different role today.
McDonald, his 4th interception. You could see on that replay where Patterson fell down. He was the intended receiver, and Crutcher carries 4 yards. The first turnover by the Huskies of the game.
And you're right, Gary. You can't blame Paul Sickerell here. He thinks he has Mark Patterson right there. He thinks he's going to have him for a touchdown behind Tyler, but right there he falls down. He trips over Tyler. The ball's in the air, and there's number 6, McDonald, to make the interception. Now, again, to be pass interference for any question there, the ball has to be catchable by Patterson. The ball was way over his head, and that's why there was no penalty called there.
From the 46, 2nd and 9. 7:23 left in the game. USC with a 16-7 lead. Crutcher into the Washington end of the field to the 48. Tim Peoples made the stop. There's the guy who picked up the interception, McDonald. He's just a sophomore, and they think he's going to be another Kenny Easley.
He was talking with Artie Gigantino, the defensive coordinator today, and that defense, both defenses have played very well all afternoon.
They have a Washington player hurt on the play. By the way, that last carry put Crutcher over 100 yards for the day. 28 for 101. As Mike Swanson, our all-universe statistician, staying on top of it. That's Tim Peoples who's coming off. Richard Barber, number 10, will replace him.
Say Swanson was all-universe?
All-universe.
The Rose Bowl, the national championship on the line for this young man, Paul Sickerell.
And he hopes to get the football back with no more damage done.
Big advantage by the USC Trojans in the time of possession. That offensive line has really done a job here in the second half.
On a 3rd down and 3, a 1st down run, and a penalty flag at the 45-yard line. Again, we've had very, very few penalties in this game. There's a late flag. Going to be tackling by face mask.
The offensive line of USC really has dominated here in the 4th quarter in the second half, and they really have had to. Watch number 76, Tom Halleck, on Ron Holmes, does his job of controlling the line of scrimmage and allowing Fred Crutcher again on a 3rd and 3 situation. They went to Crutcher, and for the 3rd time, he picked up a 1st down.
That's only the 2nd penalty in the game against Washington. Now we have a man being helped off the field. Kenny Pola is going off the field, the fullback for USC. There he is. He was limping earlier. Remember, he came off on a previous series.
Southern Cal is very thin in the fullback position.
They are. Their backup, Todd Steele, is hurt, so Andy Eddy would be the next guy. 1st down from the 37th of Washington. Green gives to Crutcher, and number 90 is there again. Whatever you say about Washington, you have to say this guy played up to championship ability today.
Well, this whole defense has. The defense really has been spectacular of Washington. And Washington's offense has not, it's not that they've played badly, it's just they've had horrible field position most of the afternoon.
Loss on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 12 from the 40. That's the first time today the Crutcher's been thrown for a loss. 5:50 left in the game. 16-7 on the line. The Rose Bowl and the Pac-10 championship. Crutcher got those 2 yards back that he lost. Joe Kelly on the stop. It'll be 3rd down, almost 11 yards to go.
Well, USC needs to pick up, probably 3 or 4 yards to get Steve Jordan in field goal range again, and they probably would want to run the ball to the left to give him a straight shot at the field goal.
They're in no hurry. They want some time to continue to expire. 5:15, the clock running. Andy Eddy has come in. They were 4-6-1 under Ted Toner last year. Right now, they're 7-1, and they may be 8-1. Crutcher stopped again, and again it's Ron Holmes.
Boy, he's played well. USC has rushed the ball 17 times in a row, and Ron Holmes has been in on most of those tackles, believe me.
We'll see a lot of him in the future in the NFL. And now to punt the ball, there's going to be Green, the freshman who came in the last time. Clock running with 4:38 left.
Potential punt block here. Remember, they have blocked 4 punts this season.
Green gets it away. Milas signals for the fair catch, and Green kicks that one out of the back of the end zone. A 39-yard punt at the 20-yard line, 80 yards away. Washington has the football. At the start of this telecast, we talked about some of the pressures coming into this game, and one of the pressures that Washington and Don James faced was not for the 3rd straight year to lose the big game that would put them in the Rose Bowl.
The last 2 years, they've lost their last game of the year against Washington State. That's kept them out of the Rose Bowl. If they lose today, of course, they will not go again. But there's still 4 minutes left. He's a very good football coach, one of the best in the land. There's still plenty of opportunities for him to win.
At the 20, Paul Sicaro, the quarterback. Again, he's going deep. That ball is a wounded duck. I don't know what happened, whether it was deflected or it slipped out of his hand, but it's incomplete.
The ball was tipped. Good rush by Jack Del Rio, who tipped the ball.
Green, I think, was the intended receiver, but it wasn't even close to any of the white shirts.
Again, there were a lot of red shirts around. The ball was deflected. It goes through Bickett's hands, number 80. And McDonald's there to try to make a play.
2nd down from the 20. Hunt and Robinson in the backfield. 4:15 left in the game. Pressure again. Sicaro hits Green, but he's down. He touched a knee at the 23-yard line. A pickup of 3, and already it comes to a 3rd down again. They're going to get their speed team in. Now, what that means is they will get their defensive people up front out of there and bring in an extra linebacker.
Paul Sicaro has been behind just a little bit all afternoon. You think back at some of the routes. He looked through that ball behind Danny Green a little bit. And a couple of other receivers who he's had open. His timing has just not quite been 100% today.
Sicaro, 3rd down, throwback, complete to Robinson, and Robinson has a 1st down, but there's a penalty play. Rex Moore, Jerome Tyler make the stop. 13-yard pickup, but let's see if it's going to stand. Ernest, 51, their brilliant center. He has applied for a Rhodes Scholar.
As Paul Sicaro has. They've had 2 Rhodes Scholar candidates.
Do they apply for the Rhodes Scholarship?
Rhodes Scholarship, Gary, yes.
You should know.
Holding against the defense. Penalty decline. 1st down.
So Washington is still kicking.
Look at the top of the screen, number 14, Darryl Hopper. They're going to call holding on Danny Green. Now, he's allowed to chuck him there. Now, the flag is going to be thrown sooner or later. Awfully late flag. They called that holding on number 14, Darryl Hopper, but it was a very late flag.
I don't understand that call. I don't know where the holding was, but anyway, 1st down for Washington. Catch by Hill. He caught it twice. But when he caught it the 2nd time, he wasn't as far up the field. It'll be a 7-yard pickup.
Well, I want to tell you, on both of these defense, there are no wine drinkers and white wine drinkers and key sheeters, I tell you, because these guys will hit you. Lonzel Hill catches this ball over the middle, and he's going to take a pop right here by number 9, Tommy Haynes. The ball pops up. Hill has the presence to be able to go back and get it, but he lost, what, 2 or 3 yards in doing so.
Pick up a 7, 2nd down 3, 2:47 left. Sicaro going deep. Hill is there. It's up for grabs and incomplete. Tyler and McDonald defending on the play. Sicaro was belted that time, and he threw the football.
Well, you are right. Paul Sicaro was hit on that play. Take a look one more time downfield. The ball is a little bit late, and USC is expecting a desperation and deep throw. It is well covered, but the reason the ball was late and really particularly wasn't well thrown was because of the pressure that Paul Sicaro had on him. He had to step up into the pocket and whack. That's why he couldn't follow through. That's Colorado, number 92, the nose guard, who was right in Sicaro's face.
3rd down for 3. That ball was thrown over the head of Walt Hunt. Defending was Neil Hope, 54. And it's 4th down. Got to go for it here, Pat, with 2:34. They've had 2 other 4th downs where they punted, but time getting away now.
You know, Don James has told us that Hugh Millen is a quarterback with a little bigger arm than Paul Cicero. Perhaps this is also an opportunity, particularly if they were to convert, to bring Millen in. He's had a history of that with his quarterbacks at Washington.
4th down and the national championship on the line, as well as the Rose Bowl. He threw to his tight end who was trying to throw a block. I don't think he saw the football. And Cicero is shaken up on the play. Getting up slowly at the 30-yard line. He paid for that one. He's holding his arm to his body as he comes up.
It usually means a shoulder. Again, tremendous pressure. Number 8, Matt Johnson's a defensive back, and there's Colorado, number 92, coming in. Cicero has really had tremendous pressure all day. The ball was intended for 88 Roten, the tight end. No way he's going to get him the ball with that much pressure in his face.
He was throwing a block.
National championship on the line. A Rose Bowl on the line. 4th down for Don James's team. Just not enough time, though, for Paul Cicero to find his tight end.
Cicero is in some pain, obviously, both mentally and physically. Wait a minute. Flag before the ball was snapped. 2:23 left. It all started with this 51-yard field goal by Jordan, making it 3-0. Then it went to 6-0 on a 47-yarder. Robinson from 4 yards out scored.
Crutcher on a 2-yard run. And Ted Tallner's an excited man who wins. And there's Steve Jordan, a 46-yard field goal. USC up 16-7. And Hugh Millen's finally warming up, but it may be a little too late for that young man. You know what? An interesting thing about this Washington team, if they were to lose today, they could still go 10-1 and be in a major bowl, Gary.
That was Danny Green, the agony on his face. Crutcher to the 45-yard line. Tony Lewis making the stop, and we're going to have a timeout. Timeout by Washington. They have 2 left. 16-7. USC with the lead. Second down, 11. Crutcher inside the 40. Kurkowski made the stop. It'll be 3rd and 6. Let's check the Big Ten. Myers with 151 yards in that game. Iowa, after being tied last week, lost at home to Michigan State. So, as I just mentioned a while ago, that big one from Ohio Stadium in Columbus. Michigan against Ohio State. The Buckeyes will go to the Rose Bowl with a victory. And also USC against UCLA. Washington's called a timeout. They have 1 left. We'll be back in a moment. USC leads at 16-7. Our Chevrolet most valuable players of the game. Ron Holmes for the Washington Huskies, 8 solos, 3 assists, and 2 pass deflections. And Steve Jordan with 3 field goals for USC. A check in the amount of $1,000 will be donated by Chevrolet to each college's general scholarship fund. 1 timeout left for Washington. 3rd down, 6 yards to go for USC. Crutcher straight ahead, and you see the time left. And they're going to use their last timeout. Washington has exercised their last timeout. We'll be back for the final 2 minutes of this game in a moment. $65,162 watching this. And the battered W of Washington, kind of symbolic of how their day is ending here. They just used their last timeout. 2 minutes, 5 seconds left in the game. Hunting the ball on 4th down is Paul Green. Very good protection. Milas lets it hit, and USC is down there again. 30-yard punt, and they have it at the 6-yard line.
Well, we said it was a day of defense and special teams and field position. It certainly has been that, and that down punt inside the 10-yard line by USC has been very indicative. As we watch Hugh Millen, the starting quarterback at the beginning of the season.
Coming in, we saw him earlier this year against Michigan. He threw a 73-yard touchdown pass. Following our game here, we'll be going to New York, joining Pat O'Brien and Ara Parsegian with scores and highlights. An upset afternoon in college football. One of them right here. After 4 weeks, Washington will fall as the #1 team in the country. Complete. Patterson breaks out of there to the 45-yard line, a first down. Tommy Haynes made the stop, a 38-yard completion, but too little too late.
We talked about Hugh Millen, how he had that big, strong right arm. He saw a pretty good shot of it right there. He drilled the ball downfield. It was probably in the air about 40 yards, but it got there very quickly to Mark Patterson. And again, remember, the USC secondary is expecting pass, so the ball had to get there quickly because Patterson is not going to be open very long.
After the 38-yard completion, they have it at the 45. Millen, this time to Hill, and Hill goes up but can't come down with it. Dwayne Jackson, #3 over there defending.
You know, Gary, I still think perhaps the critical play of this football game was that dropped pass by Mark Patterson on 3rd and 2.
The guy who's also been critical is Steve Jordan. He's hit 3 field goals, one of our Chevrolet most valuable players. We spent a lot of time with him, got to know him very well, and he was really proud of the fact that he goes out there and he competes, and he's not a flake. 2nd and 10 from the 45. Millen again up top. And 2 of the USC defenders collide. That's Tyler, one of them, and Jackson the other, and McDonald there. Pat, you know something about USC Rose Bowl appearances?
Well, they haven't been back there in a while, and they're going to be happy to be there. Washington and UCLA have really dominated the conference in the 80s.
Well, 9 of the last 12, either Washington or USC has been in the Rose Bowl. You were co-MVP of that, what, 74, the Rose Bowl?
That's right. Got a pretty good guy on the other end. It was the other co-MVP, John McKay, Jr.
Hayden to McKay, complete. On 3rd down, complete to Roten, who goes out of bounds at the 50-yard line. They'll be 5 yards short of the first down.
Boys, it's been an emotional football game. Well, there was a lot of emotion in college football. You don't see this kind of emotion in the pros, believe me.
It's been 3 years that they've been on the doorstep of the Rose Bowl and couldn't get in. On 4th down, Millen back. And it's complete to Green, and Green has a first down catch at the 38. They're going to try to go without the huddle. They have no timeouts left. An 11-yard pickup on the play.
Washington has passed 11-7 the last 17 times they've had the ball.
1:20 left in the game. Millen's just going to kill the clock and does. Well, there's a lot that makes the team successful. Determination is one of them, and on the goal line, Crutcher showed it.
Well, you know, he's been their big 3rd down carrier all afternoon. We saw him convert a lot of 3rd and 4s and 3rd and 5s, and this was a 3rd down run, too. Followed that big offensive line on the right side, but there was not a big seam. Just tremendous determination. He wants to get back to Pasadena where he grew up.
Well, he went to the Rose Bowl parade many years, wanted to play in the Rose Bowl. He has 116 yards on 35 carries. 2nd and 10 for the Huskies. Millen deep to Patterson, tried to reach over Jackson, and it's 3rd down. 1 minute, 10 seconds left.
You know, we talked about Don James. Let's talk a little bit about Ted Toner. We said he had to get his team to the next plateau, his first major championship game as a head coach. Done himself well.
You know what's interesting? John McKay came here, Pat. His first 2 years were losing years. Then he went on to win 4 national titles. Ted Tollner headed to the Rose Bowl. And by the way, I want to say hello to John McKay. I'm sure he's watching this game. He's going to retire as coach at Tampa Bay this year. Millen, and that was almost an outstanding catch by Danny Green. Well, Ted Tollner said this week was not difficult at all to get his team ready. He said the less said, the better. And he talked about the fact that they had to have something happen in the decade of the 80s. He said, we're almost halfway through this decade before some success arrived, and now it's arriving.
There's always the other side, too.
This is 4th down with 1:03 left in the game, and Millen won't go down, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Dwayne Jackson, and Jackson to the 42, and the Trojans are on their way to Pasadena.
Did all he could do there, Gary, on 4th down. A quarterback can never get sacked on 4th down. He did everything he could. There was tremendous pressure there to see Neil Hope, number 54, Dwayne Beckett, number 80, has him in his grasp. He does get rid of the ball in desperation, hoping something good's going to happen. But something bad happened as Dwayne Jackson, number 3 for the Trojans, makes his 2nd interception of the year. And again, USC will be playing January 1st, where they haven't been in a long time.
And possibly playing Ohio State, and we'll find that out a week from today when that game hits the air on CBS. Less than a minute to go. And Tim Green goes to knee. No timeouts left for Washington. The people we work with here are just outstanding. And we want to take this opportunity as the time winds down here to recognize them. Our executive producer is Kevin O'Malley. Our producer, Rick Lasavita. Joe Assetti, the QB. Our director, Bob Matina, our associate producer. Scott Johnson, the associate director. Suzanne Smith, our broadcast associate. Philip Wilson, Suzanne Turner. All these people so very, very helpful to us. Jennifer Marshall and George Beauregard. They drop to a knee again as time expiring. The Trojans returning to the Rose Bowl for the first time since 1980. The biggest win of this guy's career, Ted Tollner. Of our group who have been here working hard to bring this broadcast, this battle for the Rose Bowl to you. Along with them, we want to thank Mike Swanson again, our statistician, and our spotter, Steve Bear. The men of Troy are celebrating their return to the Rose Bowl. Coming up, Pat O'Brien and Eric Harsigian with scores and highlights. 16-7. USC defeats Washington. The #1 team in the country has been upset. And the Rose Bowl belongs to the team from USC. We'll return after this word from your local station. Congratulations.
Gary, thank you. You know, I'm so happy for our seniors. It's been a 3-year struggle, and they wanted a Rose Bowl so bad, and they committed themselves, and I'll be darned they didn't come up and get it.
Well, you talked about making something happen in the decade of the 80s. You've done it.
Well, we got to start. You know, it's just such a great feeling to be here because they work so hard. Every team works hard, and one gets to win it, and we're the one this year.
Congratulations, and we'll see you in Pasadena.
Thank you, Gary. Bye-bye.
Ted Tollner with the victory.